Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey, a very good afternoon to you as we welcome you on into Rochester's only local sports talk show. It's the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us. Thanks for listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. The Fan Rochester in the free-to-download Odyssey app and on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, where we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
17-0 Danger, 21-0 Super Bowl. Everything's all set.
Oh, we have nothing to worry about?
Nothing to worry about.
Very good.
James Cook is there. James Cook is practicing. James Cook loves his money. That's why he's there.
Yeah, I thought about it, and, you know, we talked yesterday to Mike Catalana, and he's like, I don't think he's going to be there. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't think he's going to be there either. This is business, and you want to send a message. Unless the message has already been sent. Has the message already been sent to James Cook? Like, this is our offer. This is as much as we're willing to give you. And if that's not enough, you will be a free agent. Next year, we will not stand in your way. But if you want to be here and ball out and increase your value for next year, then be a good teammate, be a good employee. We don't want to have to fine you. Show up to minicamp. And he has.
There's a scene in the movie Jerry Maguire where Jerry's client, Rod Tidwell, great character actor, but his antics, and Jerry says,
help you.
Well, no, it's like, this isn't the stuff that inspires people. Yeah. You're not inspiring people. So if James Cook took the approach, and I don't think any of us would have been shocked, and quite frankly, I think we would have saw it like, all right, you don't want to be here at minicamp, maybe not training camp. But that doesn't inspire other teams, to roll out the money, unless you're the Jets or somebody like that with Le'Veon Bell. I think the opportunity for him to get paid at the end of the end of the season in 2026, which is only 9 months away, Danger. That's it. Yeah. It'll be here before you know it, where you will get that handout. If he replicates what he did last year, somebody else will be writing that big check. But I think probably the compromise here is no tag. I'm pleasantly surprised because it was Adam Schefter who started this yesterday on his podcast, not a real report. When he went on ESPN, just talking off the cuff, pointing out, okay, he put his home up for sale. Things are all pointing to him leaving Buffalo, speculating on a trade. And no, none of that seems to be true. And when Sean McDermott came out today and said he expects James to be practicing, James Cook was out there practicing today.
Sean McDermott earlier today, day one of Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp on his star running back.
I credit James. Business is business. At the end of the day, I know he loves being around this team and the guys in the locker room, and he loves to play football. So I respect his decision to be here and be amongst the team and get some work in today. And we're looking forward to that.
Do you believe then that this is over in terms of him being a training camp and everything? What does this signify anything?
We're just taking it one day at a time. Yeah, one day at a time. I mean, we've all been around this league a long time, and everyone has their own situations. They're all different, right? So I think, again, we need everybody to win, and we need everybody to practice. And we expect James to be there and be there on time, but also understand his situation.
Love what we're hearing from Sean McDermott on the James Cook situation.
Yeah, it like, oh my gosh, the storyline we were all worked up about. And is that more of a, the sky is falling kind of our Western New York mentality? We thought, oh my gosh, James Cook's going to hold out.
No, because look around the league, Gino. This is not this is rare. Trey Hendrickson, not at mandatory minicamp. TJ Watt, not at mandatory minicamp. Terry McLaurin, not at mandatory minicamp.
The first two, okay, we saw coming. McLaurin, I didn't see that coming, but I understand.
These are stars. These are stars in the NFL that are trying to get what James Cook is trying to get, a new deal, a better deal, more money. I love the conversation this morning between Jeremy and Joe on our sister station, WGR in Buffalo, about what would be satisfying if you were a Bills fan. If the Bills offered James Cook 3 years, $11 million per, 3 years, $33 million. I think most Bills fans would be like, yeah, sign me up. Let's get that done. Maybe a few would be like, no, too much for running back. You can get that production elsewhere. Brandon Beane's not going to do that. But I think most of us would say, yeah, I think we would take that. The problem with that is I believe if James Cook has in his mind $15 million is something he could get this offseason. And over a 3-year deal, you're talking about the difference of $12 million. That's not chump change. What, just to stay in Buffalo? So I think if that's the Bills' offer, let's say the Bills' offer is somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 years, $11 million per, James Cook has to realize there's probably more money out there for him on the open market, and it's not a small amount of money. It's a significant increase if he were to go somewhere else and get that 15 to 20 million that he desires.
Yeah, and we're not like 100% sure. Like there's all sorts of considerations. Does he want to live in Florida or California or wherever it may be? You know, a lot of these guys love Western New York, but James Cook, I thought today, and we'll play it a little bit here in just a bit here. You hear from yourselves, but just a professional. Just a professional. Like compare this to some other situations that you just brought up. The difference here being with those other guys. Will T.J. Watt get paid? Perhaps. Will Trey Hendrickson get paid? I'm a little more doubtful. Will Terry McLaurin get paid? He should. I would be stunned if all of a sudden the 3 years, $33 million happened for James Cook and the Buffalo Bills at this point. I think all those other situations, those guys actually may get paid by their current team.
We'll have a couple of our favorites today as our ears and eyes from day one of Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp, including Alex Brasky of Bills Digest and the Batavia Daily News, stopping by the sports bar at 425, and Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard at Syracuse.com joining us here in less than 20 minutes.
Maybe. We got to make sure that the locker room is all kind of cleared out because they're still talking danger like right now. So as soon as they're finished up, Matt will be joining us here.
Very good.
And we'll plan on 325, but just everybody kind of roll with us on this. But we've got a lot of sound to talk about. It's going to feel like football season here today on the show.
For sure. And let's start with what we've already been talking about here. James Cook, who not only was at mandatory minicamp, not only practicing with the team, but also spending some time with the media. This is the full press conference from earlier today. James Cook speaking to Buffalo Bills media.
James, what's this whole process been like for you?
I mean, I've been good. I mean, just working out and just continue to keep doing what I've been doing.
Did you feel like it was a must that you had to be here? I mean, obviously it is mandatory, but why did you decide to come?
I like my money, do. I definitely do, but so that's why I'm here.
Why did you, well, back in February, I guess originally, why did you take it public with your, asking for the money? Did you feel you needed to make that public?
No. Just something that I did, and something that I did. I don't know why I did it. But
It wasn't like a strategy.
Nah.
James, are you hoping to get out of mandatory minicamp?
Just to get better, just to be around the guys and feel good to be around them and just keep playing football.
James, you didn't have to participate today necessarily. Like, why did you decide to fully participate?
I mean, why not? I'm here. I'm part of the team and just not practicing with my leader. So it just got to practice and get the job done.
Do you plan to fully participate in training camp as well? James?
Yeah. It's my team, and in order not to win a Super Bowl or compete for a Super Bowl and have a winning season, I have to be out there and be out there with my teammates.
James, what's been your communication with Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane throughout the offseason? Have you talked with them regularly or not?
It's been good. Great communication, and whatever we talked about, we talked about. So,
Are you optimistic that something will get done?
At this moment, I'm gonna just keep working hard and let God take control and keep doing what I do.
James, why is it important for backs, maybe more than other positions, to make sure that you're getting
because we do a lot, and I think we should be valued as that, and all the hard work that we put in and on the ground and pass blocking and all those type of things, and I think we should be valued more.
What about the aspect of maybe the shorter career than you have in that aspect of it?
I don't look at it like that. I just feel like if you take care of your body and do all the things that you need to do right and just be who you is, and everything will be all right. And that's what I say.
I'm sorry. How do you balance and having, knowing the business side and knowing the personal side? Are there any hard feelings against the Bills, or how much do you know that this is just business?
Everything is business, so there ain't no hard feelings. I don't ever have beef with nobody. Like I said, everything gonna work how it's supposed to work.
James, do you feel one of your goals this year has to be get your draft higher? I think it was 45% last year. Do you feel you need to be on the field for this season?
I mean, of course. I don't look at the whole snap count percentage and how long I be on the field, how much I be on the field. I just know when I'm on the field, I'm gonna make it happen.
A few of the other guys in your draft class got signed by the Bills this offseason. When that happens, does that create more urgency, or is that maybe lead you to maybe go a little bit more public when you see other guys who have been paid?
No. I love those guys. I love those guys. I mean, whatever they got paid, they got paid. That's not my problem. I mean, why would I get mad of something that they got? I'm happy for them, actually. So, however it get done with this deal, or whatever, however y'all want to say it gets done. But at the meantime, I'm here to work and be where my feet is.
Well, still to be here long term.
Of course. My goal is to win the Super Bowl. The same thing, like I said, and however things get worked out, it get worked out at this point.
James, what's the story behind adding the third to your last name on your jersey this year?
Oh, because I'm the third. James Cook the third.
Why did you want to do it this season?
I've been supposed to do it, but I had to get documents, and I've been had it in college, so I just wanted to get it, and it represent my family and me.
Just to clarify regarding training camp, you said you're going to be here. Is any possibility of what they call hold out? Where you're here and you don't practice, or once you're here, are you?
I don't know, man. We should see when camp comes.
Did your brother give you any advice? I mean, he's solved all through his career in terms of navigating this situation.
Yeah, of course. Just everything gonna work how it's supposed to work, like I said, and however it get done is get done.
Just from a personal standpoint, do you feel like with this looming over you, it could be a distraction for you personally at all this season?
I don't look at it like that. I just build my feet is every day and just want to play football, and that's what I'm here to do.
Is the process, like in terms of your agent working with the team, to just keep a line of communication open? And in your mind, sometimes players will say if something doesn't happen by a certain date, cut it off, right? Because you don't want to have a distraction that way. How are you looking at it? Is it an ongoing thing? Or?
No, I live my day like a normal person and continue what I've been doing. Like I said, which is work hard, work out, and I'm here. So being where my feet is right now and just keep putting in the work with the guys.
It is business. Business is a competitive thing too. Is the competitor in any way kind of maybe enjoying this process because you're fighting for what you think you will?
I mean, of course. Other people might think otherwise, but yeah, like you said, but I'm here to work hard and however it take care of itself, like I said, it go take care of itself.
James, what excites you for this season?
Just new team, new staff. Just excited to see how everything unfolds, and like I said, hopefully we win a Super Bowl and take it further than what we did last year.
James Cook the third.
JC3? Are we calling him Jimbo? I mean, there's a lot that stands out there. And that's who James Cook is. He's just a kind of a low-key guy, just going about his business. It doesn't sound like there's anything controversial there. One question he was asked that I thought was interesting, talking about the snap counts, because, well, if he wants to get paid next year, one of the secret sauce last year, Danger, was, hey, James Cook wasn't on the field half the time. That's a fact. For a top-line player in this league who's only going to be out there, he took 44% of the snaps last year, Ty Johnson at 29%, and Ray Davis at 24.26. So would James Cook be okay with those same snap counts? He didn't deny that. And then you heard Matt Perino ask him the question, okay, for you personally, is this going to be a distraction, knowing that, all right, there's something else that's going on, and I didn't kind of gather that it would be just from that conversation.
I like my money. That's what I heard James Cook say pretty much right at the beginning. Yeah. I like my money. Doesn't want to get fined. Doesn't want to miss out. Whether or not he's being genuine in his words, we'll see how his actions play out here through the course of mandatory minicamp and, of course, training camp later this summer. But I like my money stood out to me. James Cook doesn't want anybody messing with his money, and the number that he threw out earlier in the offseason is a number. It's something that he, kind of admitted there. Man, I don't really have a strategy. It's a number. It's what I believe I should make. And when you look at other running backs and what they make in the NFL, yeah, $15 million is fair for James Cook based on other running backs and their performance. I just don't know that the Bills are going to invest $15 million at that position.
Well, there is a common theme with what Brandon Beane did this offseason. He re-signed a bunch of guys. He beat from Greg Rousseau to Christian Benford to Terrell Bernard. Khalil Shakir was the first guy out. What's the common thread there? Not one of them reset the market. I thought Christian Benford, out of all of them, Danger, that would have been the guy that, okay, Christian, you are somebody that's going to get paid top dollar.
I thought $20 million for Christian per year.
Shocking, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, at any point the Bills are like, nah, we don't want you back. I think it's fair to conclude that the Bills did offer him something, but not at that number. And if any of those other guys, whether it's Shakir or Benford or Rousseau or Bernard, said, yeah, you know what, I want to be paid at the top of the position, I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't have happened.
Well, the thing about all those other guys versus Cook is I think Cook has a better argument to get paid at his position versus a Shakir, a Rousseau. I think Cook has at least 1 year of eye-popping stats that make you realize a guy who led the league in rushing touchdowns, yeah, maybe he is worth more than what we would just traditionally pay somebody to play that position. We also have a bit of news today from the Buffalo Bills, another signing. I hope you're sitting down. The Bills signed a Carolina Panther to their roster today. Yes. Somebody who Sean McDermott coached back when he was a defensive coordinator in Carolina, Shaq Thompson, linebacker, now a Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, I mean, we drafted Shaq when Brandon and I were both there, and really good player, tough, smart. You know, he's been through some injuries over the course of the last few years, so that's been hard to watch from a distance. And the latest one we're working through, as I mentioned earlier, with him now. But when you talk about a player that can play more than one position, you talk about a player that can help create a certain toughness or bring a certain toughness with him, nastiness to a defense, to a team. He's all about the right stuff as a player and a person.
First-round pick in 2015 by the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and just when you thought, hey, there's nobody that's left from there that they could bring up. Okay, ready for this, Danger?
Yeah.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Like, you need depth at the position. The Bills, in terms of a veteran, did not really address this. And the one guy it puts on notice is Balin Spector. Balin Spector, who, by the way, not fully able to work out today. So that's now a camp battle, and you know you're in a good position if we're talking about what would be the backup middle linebacker position on this team. Spot 50, 51? Like, this is where we are with this team. And if there's a guy that Sean McDermott trusts that would know all the ins and outs, the question is this guy, Shaq Thompson, actually going to be healthy? And that'll determine a long way whether he makes this team or not.
Over the course of his career, the stats aren't necessarily eye-popping. 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 26 passes defended, 3 interceptions over the course of 123 games, broken fibula in early 23, and then his season was ended by a torn Achilles early in 2024, the former first-round pick of the Carolina Panthers in 2015. So Shaq Thompson, in addition to the linebacker room for the Buffalo Bills, players that did not practice today at mandatory minicamp include safety Damar Hamlin and Cole Bishop, Taron Johnson, Cam Lewis, center Connor McGovern, KJ Hamler, Joey Bosa, Balin Spector, whom you mentioned, and Shaq Thompson, as we mentioned, coming back off of that Achilles injury. And these are injuries that Sean McDermott does not anticipate will affect these players heading into training camp.
No, it's look, if you're worried about Connor McGovern not being out there today, I think the only guy, like as I mentioned, Spector at this point, but this team is remarkably healthy.
Knocking on wood.
Yeah, the Bosa thing, okay, but I don't need Joey Bosa in August. You need him in January for this team.
Let's talk about what was really important. Sean McDermott getting invited to Josh Allen's wedding.
Today was it you attend?
Yes. Yeah.
How much? What was it like?
Some chuckles.
I was very grateful to be there. Number one, two, just it was what you would expect of a wedding. Great to see, and two really special families coming together.
What we would expect as a wedding?
Next. We won't get into maybe what you would expect, Ted.
Holding court.
Wow.
Shecky McDermott.
Shecky McDermott. I'm sure that his facial expressions, knowing I really can't share too much. Josh Allen, by the way, now this happened just minutes before we got on the air. Maybe we can get the audio in a little bit. Josh Allen was asked about wedding, and he just had a simple response. Football.
Yeah.
Football.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pivoting off of it, which that's... We want to know, right? Like if you saw a buddy and everything else like that, but this is a professional setting. That's why we're not going to get too many details on it.
You sign a non-disclosure agreement before the wedding, and then don't give up anything about the wedding. That's, if that's the play, that's the move, then yeah, let's focus on football. But Sean McDermott, they're holding court, having a couple of laughs around the Josh Allen wedding.
Here's how I would have attacked it, and maybe we'll get it at some point. Josh, Larry David was at your wedding. Are you able to convert him to being a Bills fan? Like, what was he doing there? Kind of work your way in that way, or is that part of the non-disclosure too?
It might be part of the non-disclosure. I don't know how much dirt we're going to get on the Josh Allen wedding. And by the time we get to training camp, it'll be a distant memory. All right, we got to check in and see if Matt Perino's available. If not, we'll have more next in the sports bar. Matt Perino joining us at some point this afternoon to be our ears and eyes day one of mandatory minicamp. Alex Brasky of Bills Digest and the Batavia Daily News also stopping by this afternoon to share some of his observations from today's practice. James Cook in attendance. That's your top-line story from Bills mandatory minicamp. And we have time for your calls today at 866-4326.
Ooh, I just got the thumbs up from Matt. He's good.
All right, good. We'll get Matt Perino on with us next. Stay in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia.
Available now for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester. The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
Bills running back James Cook indeed was at minicamp today, fully participating. Head coach Sean McDermott with thoughts.
I credit James. Business is business. At the end of the day, I know he loves being around this team and the guys in the locker room, and he loves to play football. So I respect his decision to be here and be amongst the team and get some work in today.
The Bills signing linebacker Shaq Thompson today. Thompson, a 2015 first-round pick in Carolina. He's had injuries each of the last 2 seasons. We'll get the thoughts of Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast. Matt joining us next year in the Sports Bar. For the first time since 1968, a baseball team from Jacksonville faced the Red Wings tonight. The Wings looking to break a 6-game slide at Innovative Field. The Amerks will hold the celebration of life for Scotty Metcalf this Friday. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
We've always wanted to lean on young guys. Young guys play like anybody else. I've said this before. Young guys, old guys. It does not matter. It's who earns the right to play. Bottom line. So it's not that Sean McDermott has not played a young guy because he's been intentionally trying to keep a young guy over here. It is who earns the job. Because I'm not going to put a young guy out there or an old guy out there if their teammates don't trust them. Bottom line. So that's how we do it. 9 years of doing it. It ain't going to change.
Wow.
Yeah, Sean McDermott.
Wow.
He's really come to his own this offseason.
Sean McDermott going third person.
Did he really
Yeah.
I mean, maybe doing Snow Angels changed him? I don't know.
Yeah. I like that assertiveness.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Let's talk to Matt Perino, who's there at Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp in Orchard Park, joining us every Tuesday, Syracuse.com, to get his work. He is our ears and eyes at day one at mandatory minicamp. And I think, count me amongst the surprise to see that James Cook was there at day one. Matt, were you surprised to see that James Cook was present?
Not one bit. And if you read Adam Schefter's report, no shade at Shefty, I'm sure it was what he was told and everything like that. The one question that I kept coming back to reading that report, that he's distanced himself from the organization, which, by the way, nothing this offseason has really distanced himself from the organization outside of maybe scraping his social media, but that's a tactic as old as time. Like, everybody does that that's in the contract year. Everybody does. And so everything else is just about what he believes he's worth and the fact that he wants a new deal. And I don't think that that was surprising. And to me, the most important line that we heard from James Cook today was what I always thought was going to be the motivation for coming, is he likes his money, right? Like $105,000, going into a season to take that hit on day one, to me, just wouldn't make a lot of sense. And I've always found James, even though that he's not the most talkative guy, he is a big team guy. Like, he views himself as a leader. He went as far as to say that today, that the reason he's out here and practicing, because he could have done like a hold in or whatever, is because he feels that he's a leader in the locker room. And I think that speaks to that. And I don't think anything this offseason that he said, outside of saying that he wants to get paid, which I think he deserves to get paid. Like, if somebody's going to give him a contract worth $15 to $20 million per season, that's great. And maybe he'll get that when he does hit the free agent market. I just don't know that the Bills organizationally are at a place to be able to give that kind of money at that position. But that doesn't mean that they wouldn't like to give it or that they don't want him a part of things. I think they do. They do. It's just going to have to make sense for both sides. And I don't think they could spend at that number at that position with their quarterback making $60 million per season.
Matt, you asked the question, is this throughout the course of the season, James, going to be a distraction? He says, no, it's not. Here's my question for you. Where are the negotiations still going to be ongoing? Are they going to be paused? Do you think there's still a window here, but maybe we get to the beginning of the season and the two sides do reach an agreement?
There is a window. There's a window all the way up until, probably right before the start of the season. That's usually when Brandon locks things down and, they want guys to be able to focus on the season and take that kind of out of it. So I think that there's, I wouldn't be surprised if James's representatives are around this week, if they pop up to training camp, and maybe a couple more conversations over the course of the offseason. But the sense that I get is that these two sides are not close enough to what would make me think a deal would get done. Now, go back a couple of off seasons, right? Like Matt Milano was as good as gone. I mean, nobody thought the Bills were going to be able to get him at the right number. Everybody thought it was going to be this unfortunate situation where they just had to move on, but they found a way to make a deal, and they found a way to find the right number. Now, I think Matt Milano took less in that scenario than he probably was going to get on the free agent market. I don't think Cook is in a place where he feels he's going to get less. So I think that that's going to be what ultimately doesn't get a deal done.
I agree, and it's fair to wonder if the Bills made an offer to James Cook when they were handing out deals to Khalil Shakir, Greg Rousseau, and everybody else. I'm wondering what you think that number was and what a number could be that may lure James Cook into staying in Buffalo. I don't know that number exists below $15 million, but our friends Jeremy and Joe in Buffalo were throwing around 3 years, $11 million per, 3 years, $33 million. Would that be something that would entice James Cook to stay in Buffalo?
I don't think so, because and I wouldn't be surprised if they did throw that number at him at some point this offseason. Like, I think at $11 million, like, if you really think there's room to grow in terms of his ability as a pass blocker, in the passing game, getting him on the field a little bit more than the 45% that he played last year, then yeah, like I think it's worth it, because in the biggest game of your season last year, he was the second best player on offense. And so for that, I think it's worth paying up to a certain number at a position that the top of the market just ended up being 20. So if you're landing in almost $10 million less than that, it makes sense. But if I'm James Cook and I think that I'm going to put up a similar season to this one, I think somebody will pay him. I mean, Gabe Davis got $18 million per season a couple of years ago, which I thought was a gross overpayment. But there are teams that make those kinds of choices, and I don't necessarily think even in the right situation, if Cook at 15 for a team that isn't paying their quarterback the money the Bills are paying Allen, if that's a bad choice by that organization, I just don't think the Bills are in a spot to do it.
Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post Standard, our guest. One for me on more for me on James Cook, because if we're talking about running back rooms in the NFL, top to bottom, some may say Tampa Bay, others may say a different team. I mean, I would put the Bills right up there with James Cook, Ty Johnson, and Ray Davis. And now that we have this kind of assurance that, all right, it's looking positive that everybody's going to be out there, health notwithstanding, what do you think about the snap counts here? Because James said all the right things here today, but I'm sure he'd like more than 44% of the snaps that he got last year, or maybe not, Matt. Do you envision things kind of remaining the same in terms of how this running back trio was divvied up last season?
Yeah, the problem is, like, he's got to really gain trust of the coaching staff to be able to put him out there in spots where they need him to do multiple things. And if you remember, it wasn't so big of an issue last year, but he didn't have as many opportunities. There were some drop issues the first two seasons, like that we talked quite a bit about. And so, you lessen the impact in the passing game. That's one of the big selling points that Bean had when they drafted him, was that, like, we see this guy as a real weapon in the passing game. And, like, he's been that at times, but he's also struggled. If he's not able to pick up a blitz and he's not able to block in a way that you feel comfortable putting him in that spot, and Ty Johnson or Ray Davis does it better, then I don't see that number going up any bit more. And, like, the other piece of it, too, is, like, if you think James Cook, and I'm just speaking hypothetically here, I don't know how the Bills specifically view him, but if you think, all right, there's a ceiling on what he is, and the numbers, the inflated numbers touchdown-wise were more so because of the quarterback that he plays with and the offensive line and the offensive running game mind that's in there in Aaron Cromer, you think it's more based on that, then maybe you pull away some of those opportunities and you give some more opportunities to a Ray Davis who you're developing. And now the touchdown numbers aren't as explosive, and maybe that asking price comes down a little bit. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, guys. Like, this is, like, everything changes. Business changes based on, like, results. And I'm be very interested to see how they divvy up the work between all of these backs. And listen, I don't think Frank Gore Jr. is getting himself into the mix, but I think he's looked really, really solid. If he ends up having a really good preseason as someone that, we already know that there's a huge hype train around him from a fan perspective. Every time we have a practice, when we're doing one of our live shows, people want to know, how's Frank Gore Jr. doing? There's been some real juice there at times. And so when you're developing players and you've had so much success developing players that spot, Darrington Evans, every time he gets into a game, he looks pretty good. That's going to be interesting how they divvy things up.
Do you get the impression that the franchise tag would ever be in play?
I don't. Again, because I just think that's a number that if you're willing to eat it for a season, you're probably willing to contractually get something done. Because, listen, there's not a lot of wear and tear on the tires of James Cook. Like, he was very much coming into the NFL as a guy that had not a lot of work at the college level. The carries, the catches, the snaps, they were all, in a lower percentile. So I think that if you like the player and you're willing to give him a specific number for one season, you'd be willing to invest in that for multiple seasons. I don't think James Cook probably isn't even in the prime of his career yet. As crazy as that is to sound for a running back, he's probably entering it right now, or maybe enter it last season. So I think if you're willing to hit that number, you're willing to come up with a situation that puts the year one cap hit a little bit lower, and maybe the guaranteed money is something that lets you get out of it a year or two down the line. This thing is going to be how this finally gets figured out. If it does get figured out, I should say, would be very interesting. Like how many years, how much the number is. I don't see it getting done. I think that they let him go to free agency, and then you put the onus. It's kind of what Joe Shane did in New York. It just got all the publicity because it was on Hard Knocks and it was Saquon, and he went and won a Super Bowl. Guys, he wasn't going to be that player, that effective. He would be the effective player, but it wasn't the offense that was going to be able to have that type of success. They weren't built that way. And so I think the idea, the blueprint was sound in that let him go and see what he's worth. And if he's worth something you're not willing to pay, let him walk and you're going to get a comp pick back. But if you're James Cook and you don't have the market that you thought you'd have, well, do I want to go play for the Carolina Panthers, a hypothetical team, for $15 million per season? But there's low chance that I'm going to hit this number again in my second contract because I'm going to play for a low-level offense. There's all those little pieces to this decision.
Matt, you're setting me up for our next topic there. You brought up Carolina, and I thought the pipeline was, long closed, but it's not. Shaq Thompson, okay, name we're familiar with, most of us, first-round pick, 2015. You look at his numbers, they're not eye-popping, but what could he bring Buffalo? How would you assess his chances of making the final roster here, Matt?
I think more than anything, it provides a Josh Norman-like window into who Sean McDermott is for a lot of these players. Like, this is a guy that knew Sean as a defensive coordinator, that came up with him, and really was one of the, along with Luke Kuechly, one of the guys that, is a Sean McDermott guy. So if you're Dorian Williams, to be able to kind of sit there and learn from this guy. And the Bills have done nothing at linebacker this offseason. They didn't draft anybody. They didn't bring anybody in as a free agent. They brought in a UDFA, I believe, one. And so they're basically running back the same linebacker room that, if you get late in the season and, Milano's hurt and Bernard's hurt, and now you have to rely on Joe Andreessen and Dorian Williams, who I think are a formidable duo, but no depth behind them, I think that Shaq Thompson is a guy coming off of an injury where you can kind of get him in your building, get him up to speed on everything, and he could be a really nice depth option down the stretch. He's not going to play. He's not going to start for them. He's not at the stage of his career where I think that would even be in the cards, knowing the injuries that he's dealt with. But as a guy that might have to play an A.J. Klein-like role in November, December, and January, I think the Bills would be ecstatic about having that kind of player in the room.
Matt, the bite that we let in with you on with Sean McDermott talking about young players earning the right to play, does that squash any narrative that exists about the Bills and Sean McDermott specifically not letting rookies on the field or not getting rookies on the field early in their career? I mean, when you look at what we have this year with a guy like Harrison, who's going to be competing to be on the field to start week one, Is it fair to believe that Sean McDermott will give that shake to a rookie, even though he may not have the experience of a guy like Trey White?
It's a very fine line, I think, guys. Like, I think if you think back to Kyer Elam and why he didn't get on the field and they split time and everything like that, I think that was actually, in hindsight, something that maybe I got wrong a little bit. That might have been just Sean trying to give him just a little bit of leeway to go out there and get some experience while not throwing him into the deep side of the pool, because we don't get to see what goes on behind the scenes. And so I think, which I think is very mature of Sean, is to not put a guy out there to get absolutely embarrassed or in a situation where they can't handle everything, where maybe you lose a little face in the locker room with your teammates. And he does have to answer to for a Super Bowl contending team, not only does he have to answer to, Terry Pagula and Brandon and everything he doesn't answer to Brandon, but, in terms of that back and forth and that relationship, but the players are going to call him out on things if guys are out there that shouldn't be out there. So I think if Hairston can't get himself to that level, then it's almost like you're doing a disservice to the entirety of your defense if you put him out there. Now, I think one of the points that I have made is that they have to do a better job of getting guys that are ready. They've done it a couple of times. Benford was an absolute home run as a 6th-round pick. They got to find a way to, onboard those kinds of guys quicker. And maybe it's just not a perfect system. It's not going to be something that every single time you're going to be able to get a guy in a spot to be able to produce right away. But with Hairston, it feels like you have to give him every opportunity, whether it be in training camp, whether it be – and another part of that too is, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Elam might have been banged up in training camp that first year. I don't think he missed a lot of time, but whether or not it was a practice here or a practice there, that's something that as an undersized player, Hairston's going to have to make sure that he's available. Cole Bishop, that took the train off the tracks for him last training camp, and it led to them just being comfortable giving the job to Damar Hamlin. And that's something that if Hairston can stay on the field, I think that gives him the best chance to play and the best chance to prove to Sean that he can be trustworthy.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard Shout podcast. I say this only half jokingly, Matt. Did Sean McDermott violate a non-disclosure agreement today by admitting he attended the wedding of Josh Allen?
I think that was more of an unspoken pact amongst the bunch. Deion Dawkins was kind of running off at the mouth there a couple months ago, gave the date and everything, and I think Josh had to kind of reel everybody back in a little bit, and everybody was kind of smiling about it today. It's kind of a funny thing. It's a private moment, right? It's something that, he's a public figure. It's a very public wedding. But I think it's just something that, as a group, they probably just got together and said, hey, let's keep this on the down low and just, share it together type of thing.
So what did we hear from Josh Allen today? Because he was speaking, I think, as we were getting on the air, Matt. Any nuggets there? And I'm sure the wedding was brought up to him as well, that we see him now back at mandatory minicamp.
Yeah, he had the digital mapping crew out there today. He said that happens 3 times per off season, where Chris Hess and his team come out, they set up the cameras in the field house, and all the quarterbacks go and they throw to all the different areas. And it we've talked about this several times, digitizes the mechanics and it gives feedback. And it's something that he was saying that what'll happen a lot of times is when it's been a little while since he's had it done last, he notices things that are off in his mechanics and his throwing motion. And so he goes through that and it gives the immediate feedback, and he's able to kind of reset, recalibrate a little bit. And so that was kind of cool hearing him talk about that. Talked about he made some mistakes today. He threw 3 interceptions during team drills today, which is very uncharacteristic of Josh in these situations. But I asked him, you said this before, you take chances in these practices that you might not take in a game to see what works and what doesn't, to try to get on the same page, get things on film, and really break things down at a more specific level with your receivers. And he said, yeah, you just want to see certain looks so that next time I see that look, maybe the chance that I took in that spot I won't take again. So They're just in the lab right now. Like that's what this part of the offseason is for. Nice interception for Derek Forrest, who got some work today with DeMar Hamlin and Cole Bishop not participating. He looked really good out there today, and he's a guy that, like, I've been talking about. Like, he fits the Jordan Poyer mold as a guy that had a cup of coffee with another team. Everybody that saw him practice and play in Washington raves about him. Same as Poyer. Babbage has been kind of who was with Poyer in Cleveland, said all those same things about him. I think he's going to take a real run, if not at a job, because I think Bishop, as long as he can stay healthy, will win that job. But again, we're sitting here in mandatory minicamps, and Cole Bishop is already dealing with something. So something to watch.
Yeah, Matt, last one for me. Just asking you open-ended there. Anything we haven't asked you, other observations here from day one here of minicamp?
Well, Joe Andreessen, guys, was sensational today. This guy, I think he's a good football player. Yeah. Like it's like this story. Now, listen, it's OTAs. They're not in pads, but he's got an eye for the football that, like, I've been doing this now. This is my 8th season. So, like, when I watch practice, I'm never reactionary. I don't overreact to this kind of stuff. But what I think we have here from Andreessen is a body of work that now every time he's in a competitive situation, he finds a way to make a play. So he had an interception in 7-on-7 today. The pass breakup that he had on a ball to Josh Palmer today was the kind of reaction, quickness, and then playmaking that you just have to react to. Like that, he is an undersized middle linebacker who's making a play on the deep part of the field on the left sideline that you just don't see very often. I mean, I watched Tremaine Edmonds in camp for 5 seasons, and very few plays, jumped off like that one did today. And so we'll see if he can continue it. But I think the reason the Bills have done nothing at linebacker this entire offseason is because of Joe Andreessen and because of Dorian Williams, and because if either one of those guys have to play behind Bernard and Milano, the Bills are fine with it, and they're confident in it. And it continues to be a great story. It's one that it's all of the makings of a Disney movie, but I think behind all of it, there's a guy that can really, really play.
So Andreessen, then, this preseason, we can expect to see more of him and less of Milano and Dorian Williams, that he would get majority of the reps through the preseason?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm drinking some water.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes. Guys, can you think of a singular preseason performance? And again, a couple years there when I was in Vegas, I wasn't really watching the preseason games, so I can't really comment on that. But from the 8 years that I've been here, I cannot think of a singular game that was as elite as Joe Andreessen against the Steelers last preseason. I mean, against their ones, too, for most of it.
Yeah, good point. I guess the one that would stick out, but it's not quite on that level, Christian Wade running all over the place. But again, that's in the third.
That was great, but that was against
against
the
the
third and fourth
teamers.
But that was great.
Second half, certainly. Matt, you've been great here today on such a busy day. So lay out the schedule here for the next Shout podcast and what we can go read here. The Syracuse Post-Standard coming up this week.
Yeah, we'll be live here in a few minutes once I get set up. Just drove home from the stadium. We'll have full coverage at the site. James Cook spoke today. I'll have something on that up by tomorrow morning. I got a lot on the docket here. We got a podcast. We got to do the observations from practice. I got to go coach a Little League baseball game, and then eventually I'll get the James Cook story up as well. So we're locked and loaded. This is the last sprint before the little break before training camp. So before you know it, guys, we'll be sitting back. I'll be watching you guys eat garbage plates and having an uneasy stomach and just watching, not partaking, because I've lived that life already.
Speak for yourself, man. Our intestines are made of steel. We can handle anything after eating that. After a steady diet of garbage, you think we're going to have intestinal discomfort? No way, pal.
Not at all, man.
No softness here, man. Enjoy your afternoon, man. Thanks for everything. Thank you for giving us the time.
Anytime, guys. Take care.
There's Matt Perino. He's covering the Buffalo Bills at Syracuse.com. Read his work at the Syracuse Post-Standard and also the Shout podcast.
Okay, that was something I didn't expect. Joe Andreessen showing something.
Joe Andreessen will continue to be a preseason hero for the Buffalo Bills this preseason. I don't necessarily think that means we should see Joe Andreessen playing meaningful snaps in the regular season.
I would even advocate, does he need a spot on the 53? Like you could put him on the practice squad
Special
and elevate
teams.
him. Yeah,
I'm okay with him on
right,
special
yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
I'm fine with him on special teams. Even him being on special teams is a hell of a story for a guy who's as undersized as he is, and being that he's a Buffalo guy. I think that Buffalo Joe will be another preseason hero and find himself working teams. But I think if Buffalo Joe is playing meaningful snaps in the regular season, something has gone horribly wrong for the linebacker position in the Buffalo Bills.
So is Matt working on the screenplay right now? Buffalo Joe. Like he's at home as a kid, a 10-year-old, watching some terrible loss by
That's
JP
the thing for
Lawson.
writers, right?
Yeah.
Writers latch onto a good story, and then they write themselves a book about that story.
Yeah, you don't start 2 weeks ahead of time. You're going months, years into this. So, yeah, this would be the time to lay it all out.
All right, we'll get Brasky's take on today's mandatory minicamp practice. Alex Brasky of the Batavia Daily News, Bills Digest, will be stopping by the sports bar here right around 4:25. We have more on the way next in the sports bar. Plenty of time for your calls at 866-4326. James Cook reporting to mandatory minicamp. We'll react, and we'll share some other notes from today's practice in Orchard Park next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
It's Window Nation's semi-annual sale. Get 60% off and a free entry door with qualified purchase. Plus, no money down, no interest, and no payments until 2027. WindowNation.com.
Bills, Sabres. Streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Buffalo Bills running back James Cook indeed was at minicamp today, fully participating. Cook apparently not wanting to get fined, saying that he likes money. Bills signing linebacker Shaq Thompson today, a 2015 first-round pick in Carolina. Head coach Sean McDermott on Shaq Thompson's injury.
Shaq will be out there, but is not going to participate in practice in full fashion. He'll be limited at best. So for those of you that may know, may not know, he's coming off of an injury and a surgery from last season. So we're working through that with him here.
Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, and the Bills Digest will join us later this hour. For the first time since 1968, a baseball team from Jacksonville, Florida will be in Rochester. The Wings tonight looking to break a 6-game slide. The Amerks will hold a celebration of life for Scotty Metcalf Friday at the Blue Cross Arena, open to the public. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
It is mandatory minicamp week in the NFL. Player attendance matters, and as usual, we have no shows headlined by T.J. Watt in Pittsburgh, Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, and Terry McLaurin in Washington.
And they give it to James Cook, finds a big hole, and he sails into the end zone. Touchdown, James Cook.
Everyone's in attendance. James Cook, he will practice. Really appreciate him being here.
The Bills, additionally, have made a defensive add to the roster, signing veteran linebacker Shaq Thompson to a 1-year contract.
Mike Danger.
Inside, I'm trying to be more accepting. When I get irritated, I've been repeating this phrase. Tell me if I'm Gandhi or not. Bless them, change me.
Gene Battaglia.
And then you just sit back and you relax and you say, I can't believe I actually did it.
You want to bet?
Want to bet with Danger.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back. You're in the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Appreciate our conversation with Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Center to join us last hour. If you're just joining us, you can get that conversation in podcast form wherever you get your shows. Search out the Sports Bar on your platform of choice, or check out our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, where we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. Alex Brasky gives us his report from day one of mandatory minicamp in about 20 minutes or so here on The Fan.
Yeah, as the news bullet pointed, positive for the Buffalo Bills today. James Cook is there. There's no indication that this is going to be any issue heading to training camp, at least now for the month of June. Everything is fine. Bunch of players not participating today. We'll go over the list here in a little bit, but there's nothing that would say, ooh, I'm really concerned about that player being ready week one. We already knew about Joey Bosa. There's some other guys that just did not practice today. All in all, very positive day today at One Bills Drive.
What's the goal of mandatory minicamp? Head coach Sean McDermott earlier.
You know, more than anything, it's how can we continue to connect now that everybody is here? Not everybody's going to be practicing, but everybody's here under one roof to continue to connect as a football team. You know, just adding, say, for example, Shaq in the last 24 hours, right, is how does he integrate into who we are? The connections that he makes in that locker room, that they make with him. You know, doing that now, I believe, is important that we get started, you know, going into training camp. That's a big piece of us this spring. That's going to have to continue in training camp, the connectedness of our team, and then the techniques and the scheme and the playbook and introducing these guys that way. And then there's this other piece over here, which was already asked about with who's not practicing and making sure that we can stay as healthy as possible this time of year and then through that break. So I know it's not just the next 3 days, including today, but over the summer break. We call it a break, but the players know it's time to ramp up as they head into training camp.
Yeah, that's Sean McDermott saying what we're all thinking. Shaq Thompson, the newest Buffalo Bill, 2015 first-round pick of Carolina, Danger. And if I'm looking at how would this guy kind of fit, he's a depth piece. By being a depth piece, you can plug him in there. We've seen how many guys from Carolina over the years, whether it's Dean Marlowe or Josh Norman, but here at the linebacker position where in terms of veteran depth, they really didn't address this. I'm okay with this. It'll give Balin Spector, push him a little bit. Oh, by the way, Balin Spector not 100% on the field.
Is he practice squad, Shaq Thompson? I think he's practice squad.
Right. He's got a spot on this team one way or another, right?
I feel like Andreessen, if he's as good as what we heard Matt Perino say he was, Yeah, it's mini camp, but in the preseason, I would expect to see a steady dose of Joe Andreessen and performing at a high level. I imagine he makes this team. You mentioned Spector. He's got familiarity, obviously. Can't stay healthy. Bernard, Milano. What about Eddie Olafaccio, right? Like there's some names that are ahead of Shaq Thompson, or certainly on this roster before they decided to sign Shaq Thompson today. I'm wondering if Shaq Thompson just ends up being a guy that you keep around the practice squad and insert break glass in case of emergency.
Well, he was out there for a reason, right? Carolina didn't, or maybe he just didn't want to come back. But
I think the injuries are the problem.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, coming off an Achilles when you're a linebacker?
Yeah. It's a guy that Sean McDermott is familiar with. He's familiar with Sean McDermott. At minimum, he's somebody that if you stash on the practice squad later in the season, if injuries start to creep up, maybe you have something there that you can use. A A.J. Klein-esque type of back.
Is it a trait you like, or is it a fault? Sean McDermott is loyal to a fault, or this is a trait that you like, that you develop these relationships?
Well, I guess the positive is everybody knows what they're getting. You know Shaq Thompson, what he's able to do, his familiarity. They know you, your tendencies, what you expect. That's more efficient than bringing in somebody who probably has more talent than Shaq Thompson and trying to get them to adapt to what that team is under that leadership. I think of a guy that Perino brought up earlier who had a chance today in practice, Derek Forrest. Derek Forrest in practice because you didn't have DeMar Hamlin. You didn't have Cole Bishop. And he made a play, picked off Josh Allen. And that's a guy that if he's able to adapt, maybe there is something there with him because he might be more talented, more skilled than a DeMar Hamlin at this stage of his career. I think I get what the familiarity is. To me, I equate to is an efficiency. I don't have to spend a lot of time explaining how things go with Shaq Thompson. He gets it. He knows. Or A.J. Klein or Dean Marlowe or whoever it is, right? Like bringing in somebody who might have a little bit more talent or a better resume or a better career stat line. Yeah, sure, you could do that, but you got to spend a lot more time coaching that guy up and getting him familiar. I want to poke fun at the Bills for tapping into the Carolina pipeline again, but ultimately I think it's just smart. I think it's just smart business. It's a smart way of running things when time is our most valuable commodity.
Well, and it's also, you got to get to 90 guys at Fisher. So of those 90 guys, how many do the math there? 37 will not be on the active 53. So that there's a lot that goes into this. For Buffalo and for every team in this league. And the Bills aren't the only team. And Sean McDermott isn't the only head coach that, you call it efficiencies. You could say a shortcut, whatever the case may be. Probably, if I had to predict, he's either beating out Spector, but if he doesn't, then you're going to be on the practice squad and we'll call you up once or twice, just like how they did with Josh Norman.
And to explain why this move could be made today, even though the Bills are at 90 men on their roster right now, Travis Clayton is in the International Player Pathway Program. So he doesn't count against the final 90-man roster heading into training camp, which allows you to bring in a Shaq Thompson to try to compete for a roster spot come the end of July. And do you think end of the week we get training camp dates? I'm thinking end of the week.
I'm thinking so. Yeah, usually that's kind of the MO. In fact, I'll predict Thursday.
Okay.
I'm going to say by the time we're on the air Thursday, here's the training camp schedule, and these are when the tickets you can go, and hopefully everybody can go check the team out coming up this summer. Let's not bury the lead. I couldn't believe the news today. Well, we had Adam Schefter yesterday putting on his podcast. Yeah, no, James Cook wants, city wedding he wants out of Buffalo. That couldn't be further from the truth here.
Yeah, well, I think what it comes down to for James Cook, and he's not hiding what's important to him, he values his money. And to be docked for not showing up just to make a point or a statement, everybody knows what he wants. He's made it very clear. But he doesn't want to get fined. And I think he does enjoy being around his teammates, being around the team, and fashions himself a bit of a leader. So James Cook present today, day one of mandatory minicamp, where he's missed all of the voluntary portion up to this point. And I would imagine when we get to training camp that James Cook will be a participant in training camp.
Well, that's the thing. the participation, because going down the road of, okay, I'm going to hold in, I'm here just not to get fined, to quote, in a way, paraphrase Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here not to get fined. Well, he did fully participate today, and I think in a running back, particularly with soft tissue injuries, everything else, you do need this ramp-up time. I don't need to see James Cook in one preseason game, but you want him out there for the practices and everything else just to get calloused up a little bit. So I just kind of commend James Cook today, talking with the media, and he's kind of a low-key guy to begin with, but there wasn't anything inflammatory, nothing controversial at all in his comments today.
Sean McDermott got his press conference underway earlier today with this.
Everyone's in attendance. James Cook, I know that'll be a question, so I'll just get out in front of it. So he will practice as far as I know at this point. So I really appreciate him being here. And the other guys that will not practice due to injury at this point, at least, are KJ Hamler, Taron Johnson, Cam Lewis, Connor McGovern, Joey Bosa, Balen Spector, Cole Bishop, and DeMar Hamlin. So all are in kind of different situations as it relates to coming off injury, back from maybe a surgery, or a recent tweak here. So Shaq Thompson, we added Shaq, as you guys know, and Shaq will be out there, but is not going to participate in practice in full fashion. He'll be limited at best. So he's coming off of an injury. For those of you that may know, may not know, he's coming off of an injury and a surgery from last season. So we're working through that with him here.
You know, the Bills, honestly, should consider themselves lucky. You know, the injuries and the players listed there, we anticipate that won't affect them to start training camp. And the one guy who was a potential holdout shows up, where you look around the league and you see star players making the decision to not participate in the mandatory portion of the offseason program, specifically T.J. Watt in Pittsburgh, Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, Terry McLaurin in Washington.
I think each situation there, Danger, if we can go through them, I think they're all a little different. The McLaurin one was the one where, like, I didn't see that coming, but he's in the last year of his contract, and whether this actually kind of carries over. But you've got a young quarterback. You got a lot of optimism in Washington. A little surprised, like, why wouldn't they have at least sat down here at some point, unless McLaurin's making, some demand. So of those three, that seems to be the guy, like, okay, now that the market has been set by others, as long as he's not asking for the top dollar, why isn't there a deal done? Hendrickson in Cincinnati, of the three, I would vote, if I asked you the question, Mike Danger, which of the three do you actually think would have the highest percentage of actually spilling over to week one of the NFL season? It might be Hendrickson. That might be the guy that's like, I've had enough. I've done everything the right way. He talked to reporters earlier. It seems like the public is on his side here, the way the Bengals do their sort of business. And then you have T.J. Watt, which is absolutely no surprise, but then Watt overshadowed today because, oh my gosh, Aaron Rodgers did throw a pass today. It wasn't just in a baseball cap there.
Do you think T.J. Watt, when it's all said and done, is made the highest paid defensive player in the NFL, which is, I'm sure, what part of this holdout is about?
It's interesting. There's only 3 guys in NFL history, Danger, that have had back-to-back years of 17.5 sacks: Reggie White, T.J. Watt, Trey Hendrickson. But to me, with Hendrickson and with Watt, you're paying for past performance. So if I'm Pittsburgh, the answer is no. Knowing that T.J. Watt and the Watt family, it's not exactly good for the brand if you're holding out or whatever it is. So you know what? This is what we're going to pay you, and we'll see you week one. And maybe he does the whole hold-in thing, and he did that years ago, and they gave him a new contract. And what did he do? He helped the Steelers upset the Bills week one. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, interesting. Speaking of the Steelers, yes, Aaron Rodgers present at day one of mandatory minicamp for the Steelers and throwing. Aaron Rodgers participating in practice.
Yay.
You check that off our list.
That's about the extent of it.
We've reached our quota on Aaron Rodgers news for the day.
Let me just pass this along from the world of college football, because I don't know to what degree a story this is, but whenever you hear about somebody being ill, it's never a good thing. Deion Sanders not at practice, canceling speaking engagements, and he's dealing with an unspecified health issue. So he's back at his home in Texas, missing the spring work with the Colorado program. His oldest son says that that dad is feeling well right now, but just something want to kind of pass
What's
along.
his lingering health issue? He lost part of his foot.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if that's diabetes.
Yeah, is
or,
that related to a specific lingering health issue? I wonder. I should know the answer to that. I just know that he has been through some ailments in the past and leading to him partially losing his foot. So hope Prime is okay.
He does not. He's never disclosed that he has diabetes, but he did lose part of his foot because of blood clots.
Well, hope he feels better. College game is more fun with Deion Sanders on the sideline.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. We're going to talk to Alex Brasky of the Batavia Daily News next in the Sports Bar. Brasky at mini camp today, and he'll share his observations. James Cook in attendance. We heard from the Bills running back. If you missed that, we'll replay it for you here shortly after 5 o'clock. You can hear his comments. Also, James Cook III. I should correct myself. He's going to be wearing Cook with the Roman numeral 3 on his jersey moving forward.
It's interesting. He was asked about it and why, and he said pretty much he wanted to do this. Maybe it was even last year, but you're not allowed to do that, so you go through the whole formal process. So if you have a James Cook jersey, well, know that it's not going to be the current version because now it's going to say Cook the Third.
He had it in college, wanted to bring it into the NFL, had to go through a process, didn't go through the process. This year he will have the Roman numeral 3 after his name on his jersey, on his nameplate. So, that and more we learned from James Cook earlier today, and we'll give you that full press conference shortly.
All right, Mike Danger, who's your favorite running back in NFL history that was named the third? I'll give you a hint. He ran out of bounds and gave Tim Tebow
Marion Barber.
As soon as I said
was he the third or was he the second? I thought it was
Marion Barber the third.
Maybe it was Marion Barber the third. You had to bring that up.
Barry Barber, all he has to do is stay in bounds and you win the game.
The Bears got T-bowed.
You got T-bowed because
the Bears got T-bowed. And I will always remember the game where the Bears got T-bowed. That was one where I'm watching it and texting with Bear fan friends nationwide. And one of them said early on, as the game was winding down, he just said, the Bears are going to get T-bowed, aren't they? And sure as hell, the Bears got T-bowed on a boneheaded play by Marion freaking Barber the third.
They made an SNL skit out of that, Danger.
All he had to do.
All he had to do is stay in
bounds. All he had to do. Oh, boy. Okay.
Sorry to bring that up. This is what happens in the sports bar. You brought up James Cook III. I'm thinking Marion Barber III, and
we need a list of players who've taken on the third on their nameplate as well, and maybe we could do a power ranking in the 5 o'clock hour of the best. Not junior, the third.
Yeah, the third.
Mm-hmm. Even more.
Davis Love.
Oh,
third.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's not just Davis Love. I'm Davis Love the third.
Davis Love the third might be a top 3 on the power rankings.
David, that's the most golfiest of golf names.
Yes, absolutely. Davis Love the third. I'm here for my tea time. We'll get to Brasky next. With his thoughts on day 1 of mandatory minicamp in Orchard Park on the Fan Rochester. Stand by.
Update.
Buffalo Bills running back James Cook indeed was at minicamp today. Indeed, he was participating. Cook apparently not wanting to get fined for missing practice. Here's head coach Sean McDermott.
I credit James. Business is business. At the end of the day, I know he loves being around this team and the guys in the locker room, and he loves to play football. So I respect his decision to be here and be amongst the team and get some work in today.
Bills signing linebacker Shaq Thompson. Thompson, a 2015 first-round pick in Carolina. We'll get the thoughts of Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, and Bills Digest joining us next here in the Sports Bar. Wings home tonight. They're taking on Jacksonville. The Rochester Americans will hold a celebration of life for Scott Metcalf this Friday at the Blue Cross Arena. The celebration will be open to the public. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia on day one of Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp. James Cook in attendance. Alex Brasky of the Batavia Daily News and Bills Digest joining us now with his observations, news, and notes from day one of mandatory minicamp and the Cook appearance. Brasky, is that something that was surprising to you when you saw James Cook show up in practice today for day one?
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me. And yes, the kitchen is back at capacity. James Cook returns to practice today, and it did shock me. I thought for sure he'd sit out mandatory minicamp. I thought he'd return for training camp. I didn't think there was any sense in him sitting that portion of the offseason out, but I had my doubts about this week. Now, that is to say there were some rumblings leading into this afternoon, so I think over the last few days I came around to the fact that he might be here, but for the longest time, I thought there was no chance we'd see James Cook at mandatory minicamp, and I thought we'd see.
Nope. I think we lost him. Hold on one second. You got him?
Yeah, let's see if we can get Brasky back on the blower here, Gino. Alex Brasky joining us from the Batavia Daily News and Bills Digest, giving us his observations from Buffalo Bills training camp, day one today, and we'll see if do we have Brasky back on the blower? Okay, we're going to try and get Brasky back on. In the meantime, Sean McDermott earlier today on what this team is trying to get out of mandatory minicamp.
More than anything, it's how can we continue to connect now that everybody is here. Not everybody's going to be practicing, but everybody's here under one roof to continue to connect as a football team. Just adding, say, for example, Shaq in the last 24 hours, right, is how does he integrate into who we are? The connections that he makes in that locker room, that they make with him. Doing that now, I believe, is important that we get started, going into training camp. That's a big piece of us this spring. That's going to have to continue in training camp, the connectedness of our team, and then the techniques and the scheme and the playbook and introducing these guys that way. And then there's this other piece over here, which was already asked about with who's not practicing and making sure that we can stay as healthy as possible this time of year and then through that break. So I know it's not just the next 3 days, including today, but over the summer break. We call it a break, but the players know it's time to ramp up as they head into training camp.
Alex, you were saying on James Cook.
Where did you lose me? What portion of my deal?
I think you're shocked that he was actually at Bill's minicamp.
Yeah, I thought there was no sense in him missing training camp, so I thought he'd return at that point. But I thought he'd make a point in mandatory minicamp. I thought he was unhappy with his contract, which he didn't shy away from today. He simply said, I like my money, and that's why he was here today. Also mentioned the fact that he needs to be on the field with his teammates if they are to pursue the Super Bowl championship that they've been longing for these past few years. But, yeah, the surprise level was there for me the past few days. There were some rumblings that he was in town, so I think I came around to the fact that he might be here. But for the longest time, I did not think he'd show up to mandatory minicamp, thought he'd play a little bit of hardball. Instead, we got to see him, and I think that's a real positive sign for the team and really tells you all you need to know about James Cook, a team guy, somebody who, as he said, he's never had beef with anybody. So this is a player who I guess maybe we should have seen all along coming to mandatory minicamp.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine in the month of June. When we get into the season, he was asked about this today. James Cook last year. I think one of the things that made this work, because perfect balance there with Ty Johnson and Ray Davis, and James Cook taking, I'm going to say, only 44% of the snaps, because if you're going to get paid $15 million, you're probably going to be asked to do more. Do you think the snap counts are going to be an issue for James Cook and or the Buffalo Bills this season, Alex?
I don't. He was actually asked about it, and he said he doesn't really look deep into the snap percentages or anything like that. Listen, I think with James Cook, it just comes down to production, and he's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and finally found the touchdown production that he had been searching for, found it this past season. So if he's able to parlay this past season, his past performance, into another quality year, I don't think there's any question he's going to get somewhere close to his asking price. Will he get the $15+ million per year that he's been clamoring for on social media throughout the offseason? I'm not so sure, but at the same time, that could be a bit of posturing. Maybe he's willing to settle a little bit in the middle of what the Bills want and what he wants. So I wouldn't rule it out for him to return to this team. He seems like he wants to be in Buffalo. He enjoys his teammates, his coaches. Now, there have been some, I use the word again, rumblings that he may want to move on to a better weather locale, but I think he likes this locker room. He likes what it's produced for him in terms of his production these past few years, and he's really set himself up within the system to earn that payday.
Alex, safe to assume that the Bills offered James Cook a deal when they were handing out deals to Shakir, Rousseau, and the likes. How far off do you think they are? Do you think that deal could have been somewhere in the 10, 11 million per year range?
I want to say somewhere in the $12, $13 million per range, so not far off from what you were saying. Okay. But when we come to dollars and cents, I guess everything makes a difference. Now, I'm not, like I said, so sure that $15 million is the sticking point for James Cook, but I think he certainly wants upwards of what the Bills are willing to commit at this point. Obviously, that's what's led to the impasse, but him returning and showing some good faith coming to the mandatory session and not making it a bigger deal than it is. We know how the Bills like them a good culture, and it's really worked for them over the years. They haven't had anybody hold out from mandatory sessions in this regard. So I think there's no ill will between James Cook and the Bills, and I think he wants to be in Buffalo moving forward.
Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, Bills Digest. As I think a lot of Bills fans, it's a pleasant surprise. Of course, that's not the only news today we have out of Buffalo. The Bills, bringing in somebody in the back end, but maybe it's a player that has a shot at making the 53. Certainly, Sean McDermott, very familiar. Your thoughts on the Bills signing linebacker Shaq Thompson, originally a 2015 first-round pick in Carolina?
Yeah, I think they simply need bodies. With Balin Spector yet again on the mend, he was on the practice field with his helmet today, working through agility work with athletic trainers, but did not participate during any drill. So I think they just needed bodies. Shaq Thompson, a player who's familiar with Sean McDermott, said during some post-practice comments that Sean McDermott's a coach that you want to run through a wall for. So this is a player that should fit in relatively seamlessly, knows the system somewhat, I'm sure. So I wouldn't consider this a good chance of him making the team. I would chalk it up to something along the lines of an Anthony Moreau signing or a Deion Jones from last year. I think those two players were a little bit more talked about than they deserved to be in the preseason, and we all saw their fate with the team. So I wouldn't put too much stock into this beyond the fact that Balin Spector's time could be running out in Buffalo.
Alex, Sean McDermott was pressed today about his willingness or lack of willingness to start rookie players in week one. Here's the soundbite. I want to get your reaction afterwards.
We've always wanted to lean on young guys. Young guys play like anybody else. I've said this before. Young guys, old guys. It does not matter. It's who earns the right to play. Bottom line. So it's not that Sean McDermott has not played a young guy because he's been intentionally trying to keep a young guy over here. It is who earns the job. Because I'm not going to put a young guy out there or an old guy out there if their teammates don't trust them. Bottom line. So that's how we do it. 9 years of doing it. It ain't going to change.
Now, you could certainly point, connect some dots and say Max Harrison is somebody who has to earn the right to play and put him on the top of the list. Are there other players that you're going to be paying attention to here through the rest of minicamp and through training camp that will have to earn their right to get on the field week one as a rookie?
Yeah, the easy answer is the defensive tackles. You have Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver coming back, the incumbent starters, but you bring in T.J. Sanders and Deion Walker, who Sean McDermott said he's upping his participation. There was question whether or not they'd kind of hold him out of drills up until training camp, which was the targeted date for his full efficacy to return from that back injury. But he's been upping his participation, went from no reps to, I think McDermott said, about 4 reps per period now. And then you have T.J. Sanders, who nearly came away with an interception during today's practice. It fell out of his hands, a pass from Mike White, dropped back into coverage. It really was a poor read from White, but good by Sanders being in position, just couldn't make the play. So those two are two players I'll have my eye on. Walker is a mountain of a man, just a massive human being, towers over almost every Bills defender out there. And then you have T.J. Sanders, who's just a supreme athlete. What he's able to do, he showed it today with a near interception, and his get-off is really, really impressive. So looking forward to seeing what those two players have to offer once the pads come on. It's really tough to judge in the trenches without the pads, but once those pads come on, they're going to be thrown into the fire, and we're going to see whether they sink or swim.
Alex Brasky, Bills Digest, Batavia Daily News, and the Right Here, Right Now podcast. On top of all this, you had Josh Allen talking for the first time since he became a married man. And I guess we'll kind of start there, Alex, where Josh made it kind of, I think, in a nice way, saying, well, let's just kind of keep it to business here today.
Yeah, he just gave a couple one-word responses. Football. That's really all he wanted to discuss. But he did elaborate a little bit, said he had a little bit of hardware on his finger now, so a change in that regard, and just said he made a great decision. He married his best friend, somebody who makes life easier for him, and a player still in pursuit of the ultimate goal. I think that can only work in Josh Allen's favor. He's now probably more at peace than he's ever been throughout his career, having won the MVP. He has the personal accolade in that regard, and now having his personal life figured out in terms of getting married to his beloved wife, Haley Steinfeld. The only thing missing is that Super Bowl championship, and having a lot figured out can do a lot for a human being, right? When you're at peace with other aspects of your life, you can fully dive into that one thing missing, and I think the one thing missing for Josh Allen is the ultimate team goal, which is that Super Bowl championship.
Alex, a lot of players missing from the secondary in practice today. Damar Hamlin, Taron Johnson, Cam Lewis, but an opportunity for others to step up. And we had heard that Derek Forrest made a nice play on a Josh Allen pass in practice today. Talk a little bit about Forrest and the opportunity here at minicamp if these players in the secondary are actually going to be sitting out for tomorrow and potentially Thursday's session as well.
Yeah, he's certainly been thrust into an increased opportunity. Hamlin has been out the past 2 weeks, and this week Cole Bishop joined him. They were on the field for install, so I don't think it's a significant injury for either of those players. But Forrest, with his increased opportunity, got to give him credit. Josh Allen throws a pass to Dalton Kincaid, intermediate over the middle, goes high to Kincaid, another situation where those two are unable to connect. We saw that often last year. Now, you don't want to overreact. It's the off season. It's no pad, so I'm not saying there's much to draw from that, but just a curious little tidbit there. And overthrows Kincaid. Forrest comes down with it and got a good reaction from his teammates. I think he's quickly caught on in that locker room. And like you said and like I said, it's going to be an increased opportunity for these players when the returning players go down, and that can only work in Forrest's favor his first year in this Bills system.
Yeah, Alex, there is one rookie I want to ask you about, and I don't think he's going to be a starter, but I'm wondering to what degree Jackson Hawes will be a part of this offense. And certainly Dawson Knox is a trustworthy vet. You're hoping for more out of Dalton Kincaid, but what were your impressions today? What are your impressions this spring here of the rookie from Bowling Green?
Yeah, he's been mentioned in my post-practice takeaways on the dailynewsonline.com pretty regularly. He's been all over the field showing great hands, great athleticism. Now, you want to temper your expectations. This is a rookie player who comes into the league known as a block-first tight end, but he's been exhibiting much more talent than just that pigeonhole nature of a block-first tight end. And it's going to take some injuries. Now, God forbid any injury at the tight end position for him to work his way to being a significant member of this offense in terms of the passing game. But I think he could be on the field as the team's sixth offensive lineman as soon as week one. And then I'm excited for what he has to offer moving forward in his career. If he's able to develop in a depth role and perhaps a special teams role and then work his way into a more regular role in the passing game down the road, I think that's the ideal route for Jackson Hawes. Maybe spoon feed him at first and then let him drink from a fire hose later. But I've been impressive with what I've seen from him, and he's a really physical player, a player with, like I said, great strength, great athleticism, and he's caught almost everything, if not everything, thrown his way, including a ball thrown behind him today.
Alex, I like where this is going because it might be by the end of this week that we actually get dates for training camp at St. John Fisher University.
Right.
And every year at training camp, every year somebody emerges as a camp darling. May or may not make the team, may or may not make an impact in the preseason. Last year I seem to remember just how over the moon McDermott was on Tyrell Shavers, right?
Oh.
I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot more about Buffalo Joe this preseason. Tell us about Joe Andreessen's day on the practice field today.
For sure. And a quick note on Shavers, dropped a pass over the middle on a slant today. And
cut him.
Also had Christian Benford take it away down the left sideline as well. It might have been interfered with on that play, but the first one was a clear drop. Like I said, it's off-season activity, so let's not get too concerned with young Shavers here. But as far as Buffalo Joe is concerned, made two great plays today, catching a wobbly pass from Josh Allen over the middle early during, I want to say it was 7-on-7. I don't have my notes in front of me. I apologize. They're on my phone, and I would have to search for that. But wobbly pass over the middle. He runs under it for the interception, and later he's backpedaling, flips his hips, leaps into the air, knocks it away before it gets to Dawson Knox, so a pass breakup there. So two impressive plays made by Buffalo Joe, and I think the processing is really what he's improved upon from last year to this year, being his second year in the system, obviously where he came from, being such an unsung player and now kind of being locally celebritized or whatever the word may be. It's been impressive to watch his processing improve from, like I said, last year to this year. And today there were two clear examples, the interception and the pass breakup down the field before the pass got to Dawson Knox.
What's your sense here? Because last year was really the first year under Sean McDermott that he kept all the guys here, all 3 days. Are you preparing like we're going to have practice on Thursday here? Or might McDermott say after tomorrow, boys, enjoy your summer?
That'll be interesting. I briefly was discussing that with someone, I can't remember who, on the practice field today. But, yeah, that'll be something interesting to track. I can't remember last year. I think we found out after Wednesday's practice that they were indeed going to hold Thursday's practice. But I think a lot of it depends on how McDermott views their performance in practice over the first 2 days. So I think there's maybe something to be decided there. I don't know if Josh Allen's recent nuptials may come into play. I doubt that one. But I think it'll really come down to how satisfied he is over these first 2 days. And if I recall last year, there were a few occasions where he stopped practice for some sprints due to some penalties. And I don't think we saw that at all today. I'll have to keep an eye out for that tomorrow. But I think he's been relatively satisfied thus far. It was a pretty quality practice today, outside of the 3 interceptions thrown by Josh Allen. But, yeah, we'll have to track whether or not we're here in Orchard Park for 3 days or 2 days, and we get to enjoy our summer.
Alex, short of the one-word answer when pressed about his wedding, what did we learn today from Josh Allen?
We learned that he continues to tinker with his mechanics. He compared tinkering his mechanics to tinkering with a golf swing. It's really something that he can feel, and then he goes to the different film processes that the team employs for their quarterbacks. So I think that's something impressive for a quarterback of his stature. I'm not sure every quarterback continues to refine their mechanics the way that he has. I'm sure many do, but for the MVP to come back and still be talking about how he's working on this, working on that, and going through really I forget the exact terminology, but the advanced imaging that they do inside the field house there, it's like 6 to 7, maybe 8 cameras set up around the quarterbacks. They get every angle of their throw and then obviously break it down on the film side. But it's interesting to hear him talk about breaking things down to a fine powder, and it's no doubt served him well over the years.
Here's one battle we haven't talked about whatsoever. Who's the punter on this team week one? Is it Camarda, Robbins, or somebody we haven't met yet there, Alex?
I think that's going to be a flat-out competition come training camp. We saw it a few years ago with Punt God, and I think we're going to see it the same this year with Robbins and Camarda. We haven't seen much from either player during the offseason training program. We did see Tyler Bass make a 34-yarder and 50-yarder today in windy conditions, the second of which got quite a cheer from the Bills roster. So that'll be an interesting position battle to track come training camp. There won't be many starting battles to track during training camp, but that will be one of them.
All right, Alex, what's the rest of your schedule here as we look to wrap up mandatory minicamp and start to look to the horizon in Buffalo Bills training camp at St. John Fisher University?
Yeah, we have Wednesday and then perhaps Thursday, planning on coming back out here Thursday and covering those 2 days, seeing what we can gather from those 2 sessions, and then it will be all summer, all the time in Batavia. Beautiful Batavia. It's beautiful this time of year, and I will be enjoying every bit of sunshine, every bit of golf, and everything under the sun, really, that I can find for myself. We have to get together, my friends.
That would be fun. We need you to come up here to Alex, by the way, what is it like when your team loses to the Rockies? Do share that.
Oh, my God.
I tell this to my father all the time because he texts me after games like that, and he's like, we just lost today. It's one of 162. The Yankees are going to be in the playoffs, more than likely the way things have looked at times this year, the World Series. So I'm very confident in my team. I think we've gone there before. I am not one of these fans who is doom and gloom. I am on the up and up. We have Aaron Judge, the best player in the world, Max Fried, one of the best pitchers in the game, and Aaron Boone, perhaps the most underrated manager in baseball. So I like where we stand right now, and full steam ahead.
For those watching on YouTube and Twitch, you'll see Alex. We wrote in loyal Yankee fan. That's as loyal as you can get if you love Aaron Boone, Alex.
There's no doubt. I thank him for that home run into left field all those years ago and leading this team back to the World Series after a lengthy absence, another feather in Boone's cap.
Brother, enjoy your time. We're going to take you up. Let's figure out a way that we can all get together and hang up before we get to Bills camp here at the end of July.
I'd love that. And I just want to say Gene recently came on the podcast Right Here, Right Now. Most listened to podcast in Right Here, Right Now history.
Get out of here.
Really?
You don't need to share
wait
that.
a
You
second.
shouldn't share that. That should be he's going to be
Gene
insufferable.
No. Gene is the reason. He is the reason.
That was fun. Anytime, Alex. I would love to do it again.
He's really 1A. We all know deep down, Danger, you're the true reason.
Let me tell you something, Alex. The fact that you invited a guy on your podcast who, without hesitation, would prank call his co-host, his friend, to remind him that he lost a gentleman's bet that we made on Aaron Rodgers.
Prank you. It was not a prank. Hey, Danger, do you got me? Danger.
Is this? Yeah.
Yeah, you lost the bet. You lost the bet. Box wine. Bring it to me now, buddy. Hanging up.
Hanging up? Hanging up?
Wow.
He
pulled the boxed wine card. Gene, I've always known you to be a classy man.
He's nothing but class until he hangs up the phone and prefaces it by saying, hanging up now. Click.
Pretending like he didn't know who it was from the caller ID. Who's
this? This guy.
Who's this?
You invite this guy in your podcast. I mean, that. Let's keep those stats under wraps.
Let me take one out of Gene's book. Mets stink.
Oh, no! Yes! What do you think of that, Gino? Brasky with the walk-off. Wow.
When I heard that boop, I'm like, you just didn't do that.
He hung up on you.
He hung up on me.
He hung up.
He hung up on me.
He was done with you, pal. Done. He saw you egging him on. He knew where you were going, where you're trying to go. How does it feel to have your team lose to the Rockies? And he handled it with class.
Why did
he even doubled down. He even doubled down and said, Gene, You were on the episode that had more downloads than any other episode. He didn't have to be polite. He didn't have to be kind to you. He didn't have to boost your ego by saying that after you tried to get him fired up about his Yankees. Misfit.
Not a misfit.
Misfit.
By the way, why did you give me the hey, cuz? Hey, what was it like to lose to the Rockies? Hey, I don't even
That's
know.
you. You can play that guy.
And I'll be this guy. Let's go to Bill Gray's with Alex Brasky of the Batavia Daily News.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to go up to Buffalo, and I'm going to go get some hot wings and blue cheese. And then after that, I'm going to take my kids to the Bills game.
We're going to hang out with Alex Brasky.
Yeah, cuz. I like Brasky. He's good on the Right Here, Right Now podcast.
I like how Perino last hour took the preemptive strike about the plate.
Yeah, he wants nothing to do with
nothing
the plate.
Nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with the plate. Nothing to do with the garbage plate. Guy's body is a temple. We goaded him into it a couple of years ago, and since then, I think he's viewed us through a different lens.
He took a few bites. He picked at it like a child.
Like, this is not me, boys. This is not me. He
Meanwhile,
was not
Danger
into it.
and it was so good.
Ooh, you're wolfing it down. Just like animals. Absolute Rochester animals.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to go up to Buffalo, and I'm going to go get some hot wings and blue cheese. And then after that, I'm going to take my kids to the Bills game.
We're going to go get a great plate at Bill Gray's with Alex Brasky. And then after that, I'm going to spend all night in the bathroom.
Appreciate Brasky stopping by.
You have to play that whole song at some point.
Not fit for radio, my friend. Not FCC compliance.
Yeah,
It gets-
the edited version.
As you can imagine, if we're making a parody of how Rochesterians talk, there may be some blue language in that parody. We have to clean it up. Clean it up for the FCC airwaves.
Oh, yeah?
We're going to get to happy hour next. James Cook not only showing up to Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp, speaking to the media.
Time out. It's not his name.
His name is James Cook III.
James Cook III, as you will now see, Cook III. So, third power rankings.
I have them.
You have them.
I have
Okay,
I have some suggestions.
Okay, we've got your suggestions. Like James Cook III. We're in terms of athletes that were named the third.
Mm-hmm.
Your suggestions at the Fan Rochester. You can also call us at 866-4FAN.
You're listening to the WNBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Buffalo Bills running back James Cook indeed was at minicamp today, and indeed he was fully participating. Cook apparently not wanting to get fined, saying that he likes money. Bills signing linebacker Shaq Thompson. Thompson, a 2015 first-round pick in Carolina. Head coach Sean McDermott on Thompson's injuries.
Shaq will be out there, but is not going to participate in practice in full fashion. He'll be limited at best. So for those of you that may know, may not know, he's coming off of an injury and a surgery from last season. So we're working through that with him here.
Coming off an Achilles injury. For the first time since 1968, a baseball team from Jacksonville, Florida, will face the Red Wings right here in town. The Wings looking to break a 6-game slide as they are at Innovative Field tonight. The Amerks will hold the Celebration of Life for Scotty Metcalf this Friday at the Blue Cross Arena, open to the public. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
It is mandatory minicamp week in the NFL. Player attendance matters, and as usual, we have no shows headlined by T.J. Watt in Pittsburgh, Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, and Terry McLaurin in Washington.
And they give it to James Cook, finds a big hole, and he sails into the end zone. Touchdown, James Cook.
Everyone's in attendance. James Cook, he will practice. I really appreciate him being here.
The Bills, additionally, have made a defensive add to the roster, signing veteran linebacker Shaq Thompson to a one-year contract.
Mike Danger.
Inside, I'm trying to be more accepting. When I get irritated, I've been repeating this phrase. Tell me if I'm Gandhi or not. Bless them, change me.
Gene Battaglia.
And then you just sit back and you relax and you say, I can't believe I actually did it.
You want to bet?
Want to bet with Danger.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour in the Sports Bar, day one of Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp. We have time for your calls if you want to join us at 866-4326. We appreciate you listening and making us part of your routine at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app, or our YouTube channel where we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6 at The Fan Rochester. James Cook at mandatory minicamp, to the surprise of, well, I'm surprised by it, surprise of many, I think. And not only did he practice fully, but we also heard from James Cook today.
Yeah, and look, it's a credit to Adam Schefter that when I'm not throwing shade, but when he gets something wrong, it's like, oh. And Schefter reporting on his podcast that, Cook didn't look like he was going to come, looked like he was working his way out of Buffalo. And then when you heard James Cook speak, I mean, okay, not only is he here, this isn't a hold in. He's here to work. I think this is as professional as you could hope for in James Cook. You understand his situation. Today went about as well as you could have hoped for if you're a Bills fan.
Right. You'll hear him not sound real enthusiastic through the course of this press conference, but I think that's James Cook. And by the way, I mean, I think a lot of us have been in a situation professionally where you feel undervalued by your current employer. And that might be kind of going through his head right now. But what do you do in that situation? You can sulk about it and continue to be militant, or you can get back to work. And I like that James Cook has taken the path of getting back to work, increasing his value, and whether it's in Buffalo or somewhere else, a good 2025 leads to a brighter future for James Cook.
Yeah, and my fear was that, okay, I'm here not to just get fined, I'm going to hold in, but then you know what that can lead to. These guys are practicing for a reason. They've got to callus up. They've got, not that he doesn't know the playbook, but certainly soft tissue injuries and that sort of thing. And there's nothing here to lead me to believe that this is going to change by the time Fisher comes around.
This is James Cook after practice earlier today.
James, what's this whole process been like for you?
I mean, I've been good. I mean, just working out and just continue to keep doing what I've been doing.
Did you feel like it was a must that you had to be here? I mean, obviously it is mandatory, but why did you decide to come?
I like my money, do. I definitely do, but so that's why I'm here.
Why did you, well, back in February, why did you take it public with your asking for the money? Did you feel you needed to make that public?
No. Just something that I did, and something that I did. I don't know why I did it. But
it wasn't like a strategy.
Nah.
James, what are you hoping to get out of mandatory minicamp?
Just to get better, just to be around the guys and feel good to be around them and just keep playing football.
James, you didn't have to participate today necessarily. Like, why did you decide to fully participate?
I mean, why not? I'm here. I'm part of the team and just not practicing with my leader, so it just got to practice and get the job done.
Do you plan to fully participate in training camp as well? Training camp as well, James?
Yeah. It's my team, and in order not to win a Super Bowl or compete for a Super Bowl and have a winning season, I have to be out there and be out there with my teammates.
James, what's been your communication with Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane throughout the offseason? Have you talked with them regularly or not?
It's been good. Great communication, and whatever we talked about, we talked about. So,
are you optimistic that something will get done?
At this moment, I'm gonna just keep working hard and let God take control and keep doing what I do.
James, why is it important for running backs, maybe more than other positions, to make sure that you're getting more?
Because we do a lot, and I think we should be valued as that, and all the hard work that we put in and on the ground and pass blocking and all those type of things, and I think we should be valued more.
What about the aspect of maybe the shorter career than you have in other positions? That aspect of it.
I don't look at it like that. I just feel like if you take care of your body and do all the things that you need to do right and just be who you is, and everything will be all right. That's what I say.
I'm sorry. How do you balance and having, knowing the business side and knowing the personal side? Are there any hard feelings against the Bills, or how much do you know that this is just business?
Everything is business, so there ain't no hard feelings. I don't ever have beef with nobody. Like I said, everything gonna work out as it's supposed to work.
James, do you feel one of your goals this year has to be get your draft higher? I think it was 45% last year. Do you feel you need to be on the field for this season?
I mean, of course. I don't look at the whole snap count percentage and how long I be on the field, how much I be on the field. I just know when I'm on the field, I'm gonna make it happen.
A few of the other guys in your draft class got signed by the Bills this offseason. When that happens, does that create more urgency, or is that maybe lead you to maybe go a little bit more public when you see other guys who have been paid?
No. I love those guys. I love those guys. I mean, whatever they got paid, they got paid. That's not my problem. I mean, why would I get mad of something that they got? I'm happy for them, actually. So, however it get done with this deal or whatever, however y'all want to say it gets done. But at the meantime, I'm here to work and be where my feet is.
Well, still to be here long term.
Of course. My goal is to win the Super Bowl, the same thing, like I said, and however things get worked out, it get worked out at this point.
James, what's the story behind adding the third to your last name on your jersey this year?
Oh, because I'm the third. James Cook the third.
Why did you want to do it this season?
I've been supposed to do it, but I had to get documents, and I've been had it in college, so I just wanted to get it, and it represent my family and me.
Just to clarify regarding training camp, you said you're going to be here. Is any possibility of what they call hold out? Where you're here and you don't practice, or once you're here, are you participating?
I don't know, man. We should see when camp comes.
Did your brother give you any advice? I mean, he's solved all through his career in terms of navigating this situation.
Yeah, of course. Just everything gonna work how it's supposed to work, like I said, and however it get done, is get done.
Just from a personal standpoint, do you feel like with this looming over you, it could be a distraction for you personally in all this season?
I don't look at it like that. I just be where my feet is every day and just want to play football, and that's what I'm here to do.
Is the process, like in terms of your agent working with the team, to just keep a line of communication open. And in your mind, sometimes players will say if something doesn't happen by a certain date, cut it off, right? Because you don't want to have a distraction that way. How are you looking at it? Is it an ongoing thing?
No, I live my day like a normal person and continue what I've been doing. Like I said, which is work hard, work out, and I'm here. So being where my feet is right now and just keep putting in the work with the guys.
It is business. Business is a competitive thing too. Is the competitor in there in any way kind of maybe enjoying this process because you're fighting for what you think you will?
I mean, of course, other people might think otherwise, but yeah, like you said, but I'm here to work hard and have it take care of itself. Like I said, it go take care of itself.
What excites you for this season?
Just new team, new staff. Just excited to see how everything unfolds, and like I said, hopefully we win a Super Bowl and take it further than what we did last year.
The Buffalo Bills, that win I think is good as you could have imagined. You're going to put James Cook out in front of the media day one of mandatory minicamp when many of us thought he ain't showing up.
Yeah, and the fact that you put him out there, it wasn't like we're gonna shield you and you're gonna nope, let's get this out of the way.
Yeah.
And that, it was just under 7 minutes of James Cook, and that's who he is. But the one question Josh Reed putting up, hey, you're optimistic something would get done, and he was smart enough to pivot off of that, saying just trusting everything else and everything. So no, he's not optimistic. That's how I kind of take out of that. Not concerned about the snap count. That's a point that we've been making here is, all right, if he wants to get paid, being on the field more than 44% of the snaps at the time would actually help boost your numbers, but he's saying that's not an issue. He said all the right stuff there. What could any Bills fan have issue with?
I mean, he wasn't the most enthusiastic of James Cook, but I think that's who he is.
That's who he is. Yeah, he's not going to.
I think there's a reason why we don't hear from James Cook very often in terms of media availability. But this was important. Get him in front of the media day one. Make sure that this isn't a distraction and let everybody know he's here and he's practicing. And we don't anticipate that this is going to be an issue this season.
The only thing, if you're a Bills fan who wanted a Cook jersey last year, well, it's a little outdated now. You're going to have Cook the Third on the nameplate.
All right. Well, that got us thinking. All right, James Cook the Third. He'll be wearing the Roman numeral 3 on his nameplate. Greatest the thirds in sports history.
RG3. The fact that his nickname has a 3 in it, right?
I'm going RG3 as an honorable mention for me.
What?
I think I've got some better ones.
Well, I mentioned Marion Barber III, just if nothing other.
Get him away from this list.
Needle you.
Get him away from this list.
Marion Barber III. You think of him as a cowboy. He finished up with the Bears. He runs out of bounds, giving the holy Tim Tebow one opportunity to throw one pass. Then Matt Prater hits a 60-yard field goal, whatever it was.
Bears got Tebowed because of Marion Barber III. He's nowhere near my list. Other guy I'm going to give honorable mention to, and I bet you didn't even know that he was a third. Or maybe you did. You're a baseball guy.
Okay.
Mookie Betts. Marcus Lynn Betts III.
Now, for the point of this, he doesn't go by that. Shouldn't it be like somebody that actually identifies themselves? Like we're familiar with, hey, so-and-so senior, so-and-so junior.
Mm-hmm.
Mookie Betts III. I've never once. No, I had no idea.
You're gonna have a problem with my power rankings.
I'm gonna have a power. Yeah,
I'm gonna go a little off script. I'm gonna be a little unorthodox with my power rankings, okay? Because number 3 on my list of the greatest thirds isn't even born yet. But I know when he is born, and he is named after his old man, he will be elite. Because his old man isn't going to let COVID near his body. He's going to enter his body.
No, not in an arrogant way. I just don't think COVID can get to me. I don't think it's going to enter this body. I don't want no parts of it. It don't want no parts of me. I think it's a mutual respect. So I wasn't really worried about the test. I was just more, in my mind, for me and my maturity level, I felt like it was the right thing to do to mention. I may not have been feeling well. I just wouldn't want it to spread throughout the whole building. If there was a case that I would have possibly had it, I was just trying to be an adult and be precautious about the situation and try and handle it.
I'm fairly certain Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't have a son named Odell yet. But when he does...
All right, this is silly. This is fraudulent, this list here.
Oh,
like,
listen
this
to
is
you.
One that,
don't have fun with a list. How dare you? This is serious sports talk.
We're going to do any junior on the fact that says he is going to have a son? What if he has all girls? Then the list isn't real.
I think Odell Beckham III is going to be elite. We're going to live to see it someday, Gino. Okay?
OD3?
OD3. OBJ the third. OBJ the third will be elite. All right, we got to put Davis Love the third on the list. He's number 2.
Davis Love the third.
Yes. 21 PGA wins. Captain of the Ryder Cup.
Shouldn't he just be Dave Love? No, I'm Davis Love.
Davis Love the third. I own some land. Please, valet, take care of my Lexus if you don't mind.
You're on a yacht someday. I'm like, hello, I'm Davis.
The greatest third. You're gonna be real upset at this one.
Okay.
Because he's not. We don't refer to him as the third, but his legal name, he is actually the third, and that would be George Kenneth Griffey the third, also known as Ken Griffey Jr. Number 1.
Wait a second. All these years, Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr., really? Senior was junior, and junior should have been the third?
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel cheated. This is all. I feel like you're lying to me.
Ken Griffey the third doesn't have as much pizzazz as junior. Yeah, you just call him junior. Call him the kid. He's the kid.
What about Clay Matthews, the linebacker? He's Clay Matthews the third.
Ugh. Get him away from this list. Nothing to do with that guy. Oh, watch me wet my hair before every game and throw it back. What are you, auditioning for the cover of a romance novel? Get out of here. Soft.
I'm sure you love this artist, Marshall Mathers the third.
Oh, Eminem.
Eminem is a third.
I would put him in an honorable mention. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an honorable mention on this list. I put RG3 on that list as well as an honorable mention.
RG3 is the king of the thirds. James Cook the third. That's what we're talking about here. This is how we're going to identify him. Like when you hear Ian Eagle with the touchdown call, that's Cook the third. Or did you just say James Cook? Are we saying Cook the third?
JC3.
JC3, does that roll off the
JC3 rolls, but then there's also people that might hear JC and think, what does this guy think he is? He thinks he's a son of God? Is his nickname? He thinks he's a son of God? Come on, yeah. I don't know about that. I mean, if there's a bunch of others that are out there that if they have kids down the road, like would Marvin Harrison III be elite? Probably. Yeah, so there you go. That's my list. I'll put RG3 in an honorable mention. I like the fact that Mookie is a third, but nobody knows that he's actually a third. Mookie Betts.
See, like your OBJ the third, who hasn't arrived yet. I would see you with Pope John Paul the third, because right?
How many Pope John Pauls have we had in the course of history? So Pope John Paul II was the Pope that we had growing up, right?
Right. We haven't had a John Paul III yet. So that's my prediction. Like, that's honorable mention.
Leo is what number? Is he Leo like the 14th or something like that?
Yeah, he's way past.
Imagine that. Imagine if we get to a day where we're talking about James Cook the 14th missing out or showing up to mandatory minicamp. I like that. So James Cook.
It's Leo the 14th.
Yeah.
Leo 14.
Yeah. James Cook the 14th lining up in the backfield for the Buffalo Bills. Why'd you wait so long, James? No. Why did you want to do it? Because that's my name. Because I'm James Cook the third. Okay. Thanks, James. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's okay.
Thanks for your time.
You know, I was just cosplaying, actually.
Hope you are sitting down. The Buffalo Bills today signed a player who used to play for the Carolina Panthers.
When was Sean McDermott there last? 2015? You mean to tell me there's still a player from the Carolina pipeline that would have played for Sean McDermott? The answer is yes. He was the first-round pick of Carolina in 2015, linebacker Shaq Thompson. You look at Thompson's career stats, it's like how did this guy stay in this league when you look at it? You
kind of pedestrian statistically.
Yeah, you would have expected more.
But I would imagine, that if McDermott loves him for anything, consistency. He's just a consistent player. Yeah. Over the course of how many, 9 seasons, 10 seasons? 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 26 passes defended, 3 picks in 123 games. Injuries have been the concern the last couple of seasons with Thompson. Broken fibula early in 2023, tore his Achilles early in 2024. Not participating today as he rehabs from that injury. They expect to see him at training camp. Other Buffalo Bills missing today's session, and it's a lengthy list, including Shaq Thompson. We got to get with Damar Hamlin, Cole Bishop, Taron Johnson, Cam Lewis, Connor McGovern, KJ Hamler, Joey Bosa, Balin Spector, and the aforementioned Thompson.
A lot of those guys, including Bosa, you saw doing work to the side. I don't think there's really any major concern when it comes to, will these guys actually be ready? When we get to the preseason here, I think that, just like precautionary was kind of the word there. About Thompson, Danger. Okay. It's a position that the Bills really, when it came to the free agency part, didn't bring in any veterans. We saw them bring in the guy from Jacksonville last year. I'm totally fine with this. But if there's 2 storylines coming out of camp today that surprised me, one, wow, the James Cook thing, that's a pleasant surprise. The other one, and since we had both Alex Brasky and Matt Perino on, they both said the same thing. More praise coming for Buffalo Joe. If you thought Buffalo Joe was a one and done, seems like this guy is showing up and is going to, do what he can to get back on the 53.
He'll be a preseason hero and probably find himself making the team. Special teams ace. Somebody, how many years was Tyler Medikevich on this roster? You tell me that Joe Andreessen can't be what Tyler Medikevich was?
Probably 1 year too long for Medikevich.
Right.
Yeah.
He could absolutely be what Tyler Medikevich was in special teams if he has the kind of preseason that we expect he will have. The other name that I thought was interesting with the lack of bodies in the Bills' secondary, including Cole Bishop, including Damar Hamlin, Derek Forrest making a play in today's practice and making the most of his opportunity. We'll see if that continues to translate as we get into the later parts of the summer. Forrest will be competing with Hamlin, with Taylor Rapp, with Cole Bishop, looking for a spot on this roster.
If you can play this soundbite from McDermott and put it into context, today is June 10th. It's not following a game. This is not a week leading up to the game. This is Sean McDermott talking forcefully on an issue, and it almost seems like he's perturbed at the notion that he doesn't play rookies.
We've always wanted to lean on young guys. Young guys play like anybody else. I've said this before. Young guys, old guys. It does not matter. It's who earns the right to play. Bottom line. So it's not that Sean McDermott has not played a young guy because he's been intentionally trying to keep a young guy over here. It is who earns the job. Because I'm not going to put a young guy out there or an old guy out there if their teammates don't trust them. Bottom line. So that's how we do it. 9 years of doing it. It ain't going to change.
That's Sean McDermott reading his own press.
That's by the way, you do that too. Have you noticed that? When you're ready to make a point, you kind of do that. Not as much as he did that.
You do that.
Do I?
Bang on the counter?
Bang on the counter?
You bang on the counter all the time. As long as we've done this show, you bang on the counter. It drives me nuts.
Well,
Jay, don't bang on the counter. It's bad radio.
Yeah, it's bad.
People can hear it. Don't bang on the counter. I don't like that audio. I don't like that Sean McDermott audio. I don't like that he went third person. I don't like that he's banging the table. Where's we want Shecky McDermott. Can we lighten the mood?
There was a little Shecky McDermott here, and you just know, that in order to, okay, you're invited to the wedding, but if you want to enter the gate here, sign this non-disclosure agreement. You'd have to think something was like that because
a gentleman's agreement.
We're not talking about it, but Sean McDermott was asked the question. And boy, oh boy, you're just going to hear word salad here when he's trying to describe what it was like to go to Josh and Haley's wedding.
Today was it you attended?
Yes. Yeah.
How much? What was
it like? I was very grateful to be there. Number one. Two, just to it was what you would expect of a wedding. Just great to see, and two really special families coming together.
What we would expect as a wedding?
Next. We won't get into maybe what you would expect.
Yeah. A little joke there. We won't get into what you would expect at a wedding. McDermott was at the wedding, but won't share any details.
No. And when Josh Allen was asked about it, just said football. Like as if to say, let's keep it to football. Folks.
One word answer.
Football.
Not going to talk about it.
Yep.
He's gotten his marriage out of the way. I'm sure he's very happy. I'm sure they're very happy. I'm sure they have some wonderful plans for the next couple of weeks when he doesn't have to worry about football. But while he's playing football, let's talk about football.
He wore his wedding band today. That was pointed out, and I don't know if you know this or not, Danger, but not too many. Like the only one that I can point to, like when we've been doing a show, Ryan Fitzpatrick wore his wedding band.
That's the guy. God, I feel like I remember where he went to college, but it's slipping my mind. I mean, he played for so many years.
Dartmouth?
No, that doesn't sound right.
Cornell.
Maybe getting a little warmer.
Yale.
I don't think it was Yale.
What's the school in Boston?
It wasn't Boston College.
Boston University?
No.
Northeastern.
No, none of these. Why is it escaping me? Where did Ryan Fitzpatrick play college football?
I don't know. 866-4FAN.
Oh! Harvard. That's right. Wore his wedding band, went to Harvard, has a beard, loves the Bills. Anything else we need to know about Ryan Fitzpatrick? Okay. We got to get to a round of shots, Gino.
Yeah, we're overdue here. We do have a little bit of an update on the Knicks. We haven't talked about them. Where are they going from here? Coach Prime, we're hoping for the best here. A story regarding the Colorado head coach. What's happening at the Blue Cross Arena on Friday that might interest some Amherst fans as well. And gosh, can I segue to one of our favorite sound bites here in the sports bar? I'm going to see if I can't bait Danger into doing it.
Okay. All right. We'll get to a round of shots. We also have last call coming up before 6 o'clock. If you want to have the final word in the sports bar, our phone number is 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Sports Update.
Buffalo Bills running back James Cook indeed was at minicamp today. He was fully participating. Cook kind of sort of joking that he doesn't like to get fined, that he likes his money. Head coach Sean McDermott on his running back.
I credit James. Business is business. At the end of the day, I know he loves being around this team and the guys in the locker room, and he loves to play football. So I respect his decision to be here and be amongst the team and get some work in today.
Bills signing linebacker Shaq Thompson. Thompson, a 2015 first-round pick in Carolina. Thompson tearing his Achilles last season. He did not participate in practice today. For the first time since 1968, a baseball team from Jacksonville will face the Red Wings in Rochester. The Wings looking to break a 6-game losing streak tonight at Innovative Field. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Happy Hour continues in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. It's time for a round of shots.
Yeah, there are multiple reports that the New York Knicks and Jason Kidd have mutual interest in the Knicks head coaching vacancy, of course. Kidd already has a job in Dallas, where he's been there for the past 4 years. In fact, he has 2 years remaining on his current deal. No one is reporting whether Dallas will say yes to a trade or if they're just going to deny it outright. Kidd reportedly has a strong relationship with Jalen Brunson, another player that Kidd coached in his career, Giannis Antetokounmpo, when the two were together in Milwaukee, leading people to connect dots.
Yeah. If I'm the Knicks, I don't want anything to do with Giannis. I've no Knicks fans are like plotting and scheming, trying to think, how do I get Giannis? How do we get? No,
but I would entertain Kidd. But here's the thing: if it's, hey, can we have Sean McDermott? No. Like why isn't anybody in Dallas? Why isn't their nutty GM just saying no, go away? They're entertaining a trade here.
Well, they missed the postseason. You want to point fingers and assess blame. The coach usually takes a lot of that fire, even though it's not his roster.
Well, no wonder. Does he really want the Knicks job, or does he just
get me out of here?
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
Lifeline.
This place is crazy. Thank you for the lifeline. I would love to go to New York.
This Friday, the Rochester Americans will be hosting a celebration of life for the Metter, Scotty Metcalf. The event is open to the public from 1 to 4. Again, on Friday, the date falls on the 29th anniversary of the last Amber Calder Cup team in 1996, that Game 7 that went over the Portland Pirates, a team that Metter was a big part of.
Where will the celebration of life be held?
At the Blue Cross Arena.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, yeah.
Open to the public, 1 to 4. That's happening on Friday. And, lots of people sharing stories over the last few days, their memories of Scotty Metcalf, somebody who left his mark on the Rochester community.
Would they stream that? We should ask.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that would be something I'm sure a lot of people, unless when we talk to Jody Gage, it's just, for a lot, it's just maybe it's not the time to share stories and bust jokes. I don't know, but it's certainly good on the Amherst. And by the way, the new arena management they're cited here, VenueWorks, this is like the first thing they're actually putting out there, because the Pagulas don't run that arena anymore.
Got it.
So a speedy recovery for Coach Prime. Colorado head coach Deion Sanders has been ill and out of the office recently. Sanders has been at his estate in Texas dealing with an unspecified health issue as the school's summer football camps began. Sanders' oldest son says that his dad is feeling well.
Yeah, I hope he gets back on the sideline. I think college football, I know he's a polarizing figure. Not everybody loves Coach Prime, but I think he is fantastic for the game of college football.
How could you not recognize what he's doing for the game, though?
I just see so many people that just can't get past the personality. They can't get past the flash. They can't get past Prime.
Or you're retiring the two numbers.
I don't care. It's his program, and he's going to do it his way. You can have a problem with that if you want, but I think the positive far outweighs the negative when you're talking about Coach Prime in college football.
He took a program that was 1-11, like arguably the worst in the country.
Yep.
And
I'm not saying that he's the best coach in college football. I'm saying he's good for the sport. I like having personalities on the sidelines. He is that. He's good for the sport. He attracts more eyeballs. And his team is better. We'll see if it continues to improve. I'm not going to say that they're going to win a national championship anytime soon under his guidance, but he has made that program relevant at minimum. And I think when you talk about his broader presence in the sport of college football, it's nothing but positive.
For the first time in their school history, Murray State has reached the Men's College World Series.
Huh?
The Racers became just the 4th seed ever to advance as they knocked off Duke at Duke. Murray State is located in southern Kentucky. Their manager, Dan Skirka, also serves as their groundskeeper.
Huh?
He cuts the grass,
Huh?
puts the chalk down. Stadium only holds 800 people.
What?
Other 7 teams that made it into Omaha: LSU, Arkansas, UCLA, Louisville, Oregon State, Arizona, and Coastal Carolina.
The coworkers of mine that I deal with and interact with in New Orleans, it's shocking how into LSU college baseball they are. And maybe it's because we're here and we don't really have a college baseball program to get behind. The Cuse didn't have – when was their program? When did they disband that program? Was it like the late 70s or something like that?
Do they even have one? I should know this.
I think they did have one, but the idea that we don't really celebrate the College World Series or the college baseball postseason at all because we don't really have a rooting interest.
How can you get games going? You would have to have some indoor facility to. You look at some of these stadiums down south, Danger. It's okay that they look like AAA ballparks.
They're impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the point is for fans of these programs, whether you're talking about LSU or Louisville or UCLA, Arizona, it matters. Coastal Carolina, certainly. It matters to these schools. College baseball is a thing. College World Series is clearly a thing. Good for Murray State. Had no idea where I've heard of Murray State. Had no idea where they were. Didn't know that they had a decent college baseball program.
It's like the closest major city is Nashville, but it's not really that close. So I've heard of Murray State, but there's some famous. Is it
the Racers? Okay, that screams that they had an offensive nickname for many years and recently had to change. The Racers? That couldn't have been their original nickname. That feels like we gotta change this name. This name is offensive. We gotta change it quick. What are we gonna come up with? Racers. Okay.
John Morant went to Murray State.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's probably their most, can't call him alum, but most famous product, I guess. What else is going on? Florida A&M University Athletic Director Angela Suggs. Why are we bringing up her name? She was arrested on fraud and theft charges, allegedly using the corporate credit card for personal use, totaling more than $24,000.
Is that frowned upon? Are you not allowed to do that? Is that? I didn't know. I mean, if somebody would have told me that sort of thing was frowned upon.
Was that wrong? Should I not have done that? I tell you, I gotta plead ignorance on this thing because if anyone had said anything to me at all when I first started here that sort of thing was frowned upon, because I've worked in a lot of offices and I tell you, people do that all the time.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are looking at this and saying, "Come on, that's all you're gonna do? $24,000? Step your game up."
This is like the Athletic, like what was this? Well, the 55-year-old, and again, allegedly, charged with 2 felonies, grand theft, scheme to defraud. She was charged with 4 misdemeanor counts of false claims on travel vouchers.
I don't even understand how that enters into the mind of a reasonable person. I have a corporate card. I'm going to go out and spend for myself on the corporate card. I don't even know how that enters into the mind of a reasonable person.
Does it come from lack of oversight? Does it come from I'm entitled? What is that? The person that will...
I won't get caught. They can't possibly figure this out. I don't get it, man. Like, it has never, ever once... Like, I don't know how that enters the mind of a reasonable person.
Well, okay, take an art thief, for instance. You steal a piece of artwork.
A heist.
There's movies and all these famous heists.
Yeah.
It's not like you can sell it.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, there's that painting that's stolen.
Yeah.
You stole the painting. Like, you're just doing it for the thrill. Is that it? You get some perverse thrill out of stealing from your own employer? But this is the athletic director.
$24,000. They'll never know.
No, nobody will ever
know. Nobody will ever know. God. And to think that happened in Jacksonville too, right? The Jags, didn't they have a guy? Yeah. Millions. Like, Scale it. Florida A&M and the Jacksonville Jaguars. What can you get away with? We can get away with a lot more if you try to defraud the NFL.
So now the defense, and this is the guy from Jacksonville that got popped for this, and he did it, but he points to his gambling addiction and a lot of things that like pointed to, well, yeah, this was just I'm going to buy myself a vacation here or there. You know, who would notice?
Okay.
The city of Pittsburgh is expecting over 200,000 visitors this week. That's
really
what having a major golf tournament brings to a community.
Yeah.
Oakmont, the site. Oakmont last hosted the U.S. Open in 2016. Dustin Johnson won it then. Oakmont was also the site for the U.S. Open in the year 1994. And if I may bring you back to 1994, Danger, it's an ESPN documentary, 30 for 30. Arnold Palmer at Oakmont playing the last round of his career, giving that tearful goodbye, and one of the things that is happening on the date of June 17th, 1994.
Interesting, Gene. Thank you for sharing that information.
On
It's
June
last
17th,
call in the sports bar.
1994. Other things that happened. You want to take a guess? The Rangers won the Cup. They were having their parade in Manhattan.
Don't make
but
me
you know
do
what
it.
else? You know what else happened? The Knicks and Rockets were playing Game 5. And you know why we couldn't watch that, Danger? Because something else was interrupting my
Got
game.
it, Juice. When Chris and I broke up, the Juice was there for me every night. It's like he's not really the Juice anymore. We gotta get you dressed, Juice. Juice, a will? Juice. Come on, Juice. Juice! Juice, it's AC. Juice! AC's here! Juice, I heard Juice. It's on every channel. You know I feel the same, Juice. You're gonna tell them yourself, Juice. Juice. Your whole family's here, Juice. She's on the house phone waiting to talk to you, Juice. Okay, Juice? Okay, Juice, we're good to go. You're home, Juice. You know Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice... man. Your Uncle Juice is a good man. He's never going to stop being the Juice. It could explain a lot, Juice. Just hear him out, Juice. He's right, Juice. Listen, Juice. Juice, this is your life. Juice, please, Juice. Juice, we need an answer.
Say it often in the sports bar, Gino. Don't ever give me a reason to play every instance of David Schwimmer in The People versus O.J. Simpson playing the role of Robert Kardashian and saying the word juice, because I will take it and I will run with it.
Oh, the shot clock's going off?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a lot of juice.
That was a lot of juice.
We just spat out a lot of juice.
He's gone.
He is. But you know your Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice is a good man.
We'll never know if he actually did it or not.
He actually did stop being the Juice, by the way. Sorry. Tomorrow on the show, as he does every Wednesday, PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network, will be giving us some winners. And we just mentioned that U.S. Open. Brian Koziel, the pride of SUNY Brockport, joins us from the Tee to Green Show on WGR and the Odyssey app. He'll stop by 425. If you missed Matt Perino or Alex Brasky, find it wherever you get your podcasts. They joined us earlier in the sports bar. Search us out on your favorite platform. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan Rochester. Have a great night.